not the same. Going through the same but not the same. Always feeling misunderstood. Am I a have or a have not? Shoulda, coulda, but no judgments won't hinder me. Up in my vision of positivity, I am who I am, there's no way that I'm changing that. If I go back on who I am, what does that leave me at? Struggle like you, but just on a different lane. So we gotta stay in your lane, cause we all have a different path. Don't worry, they all lead to the same place. Stay in your lane no matter who's been weaving in and out. Going through the same but not the same things. Same but not the same. Going through the same but not the same. Same but not the same. Going through the same but not the same. Every day is a blessing to me, yeah. I wake up feeling grateful, awakening. Count my blessings before my pain. Thinking maybe the sky's blessing me with rain. I won't look down, keep my chin towards your kingdom. No matter what they say, believe that you believe in them. It starts with you, so just fight through the hate. No matter what they say, stay in your lane, cause we all have a different path. Don't worry, they all lead to the same place. Stay in your lane no matter who's been weaving in and out. Going through the same but not the same things. Same but not the same. Going through the same but not the same. Same but not the same. Going through the same but not the same.
Sinya uli di sombranza temat e zu ita saluda antes di niga radzaudzan malak estrezas durante todo el memu a nogi distancia como kupugi palu zangiman malak guafi ikonum nasugi airi la noche nai banderata caigui pues atan fanni bandera kau esta pagua pumalapa giluk tanu manli Tamiti man ko badi.
Fanogi chamoru puritanota kan tayo matunonya dito lugar para iyon para igloria abiba islas en para iyon para igloria abiba islas en toru itempo ipas para ita zangin nilangin na bendition contra peligro na sa fuam Deus proteis land contra peligro na sa fuam Deus proteis land
corazón tan imasfiku nani nasinyaku ufresin maisatu para baputehi Zanitano Tamoru, yes, yes, yes. Eat and shaku, la 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 la. Did it to get into stop that? 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 It's the who what been my ihilo Zani Biblia Ibandera Ibandera Mohan yes 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 Ibandera Mohan yeah. Mastakilu, Hinasoku, Kinini Mastakalu, Ikurason, Then Imasfiku, Nanina Sinyaku, Ufresin Maisatu, Parabapute, Then Defendi, Hinengi, Kutura, Lengwahi. Tamoru, yes, yes, yes. Tanitano Tamoru, yes, yes, yes. Ni ile shaku, la la la. Did it to get into stop that? 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 It's the who, what been my ihilo. Zani Biblia, Ibandera, Ibandera, Mohan, yes, 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 Ibandera, Mohan, yeah.
Good morning, Guam. Right on 6:37. Morning, Jason. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
Hey, morning, everyone. Sorry, we had a little equipment situation. I was ready to go at 4 a.m., but unfortunately, we can't put the show on unless we have all the proper equipment. Thank you, Joe, sir. Right on. Good morning, Facebook Live. Thank you for your patience. Jay, good morning.
Thank goodness that Joe Sir has some like gear at his house that he can run home and grab.
Right on. He's got, this. You're the man, Joe.
He's
sir.
Mr. Wizard, basically.
Yeah, he basically is the Filipino MacGyver. The Munggyver. Manunggyver. Hey, good morning, guys. Right on Wednesday, May 12th. I got to go on a field trip yesterday. Got to go on a field trip to a top secret meeting down in Adelup. We're going to be talking about it. Of course, we are all morning. Is it the beginning of a beautiful relationship, or are we drinking too much of the Kool-Aid? We'll find out. Hi, Bree.
Good morning.
Morning. Sabrina Salas Matanani, of course, in the home quarantine.
And so, like I predicted yesterday, there was a press conference.
Yeah, so there was, yeah. And so they had the meeting, which was closed door. And then immediately afterwards, the governor made herself available for some questions from the media, me and one other media. I get this meeting was so secret, none of the media knew about it. That's how secret it was, except for us. We know all the secrets. Yeah, so I went down there. I was down at Adeloop. Good morning, Facebook Live, by the way. And it was interesting. It was definitely interesting because one of my media colleagues did try and go into the meeting, and he was kicked out in a nice way. Nicest kick out ever. Yeah, and it is what it is. You know, we were told, hey, wait outside, and, we'll get the gov after. And I made arrangements to get some senators right after the meeting. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. We interviewed the speaker and the minority leader, Sabrina, and both of them were very, very upbeat and optimistic about this meeting that they had yesterday. Where'd she go?
I'm here.
Okay, yeah. Right? Did you notice? Did you see the speaker and the minority leader?
Yeah, I caught a little bit. Is this like the first of several more meetings to come?
That's what it sounded like. So I'd asked the governor. The streams on Facebook Live, we got a bunch of clips that we're going to play for you guys this morning because I know you guys are working and stuff yesterday. Might not have been able to catch it. We got you. Don't worry. Yeah, I told her, I said, hey, so what's next? And she's like, yeah, we're going to have probably more meetings. And there's going to be a little bit of back and forth. You know, it's really interesting, Bree, because the more we went into the questions, the more the governor kind of reiterated that it's her call. Because I'd asked her, hey, so what is this? Like this list from the senators, is this like the holy word? I mean, is there going to be a lot of deviation from it? Is there going to be some back and forth? And she was like, yeah, I asked them for their ideas. They gave me their ideas, but they know that at the end of the day, it's my call. And so there were some areas where, like with the RISE Act, what did you make of that? Did you see her response, Bree?
I saw a little bit of it. It seemed like, I don't know, it was a little confusing.
It was a lot. It was so confusing. I was so confused. I was like, because when we interviewed the speaker and the minority leader, they both had indicated, like, yeah, we got positive feedback about the RISE Act. You know, she said that she supports it. But I guess there's a difference between supporting it and actually paying it out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we asked her, hey, so are you going to pay it out? But she really was, and we got a clip on it too. She was really saying that government employees, because it was based on income eligibility, she was saying it wasn't fair because government employees who met the income criteria weren't able to get any of the RISE Act because, I mean, let's be clear, it was designed for the private sector. And so she said the government of Guam employees weren't included, the retirees weren't included. And so she wanted to, she said that maybe they would be able to pay it out under some other existing program like the Mangafa or the Programa Salapi or something. So, yeah, it was really confusing because I would just really wanted a yes or no answer. Like, are you going to pay it out as it is in the law or not? And so, anyway. At 6:42, good morning, Facebook Live. Jay, it's popping in here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good morning. Rosemary Laguania, first one in. Good morning, team. Mama Bear, good morning. Mika Seguenza, good morning. Ken Paulino, good morning. Good morning, John Taitano. Emma Olalia, good morning on you. John Nauta, Hafaday, good morning. Morning.
Is that the John Taitano, our friend who we've had on the show a couple times?
Yes.
Yeah, he was running Hava Java Cafe, I believe.
Yep, also had run for mayor. Yeah. Feel free to bring some coffee. You still got some.
Well, John, Joe Sir's giving you a shout out right back because John paid a very nice compliment to Joe Sir. So
nice.
Joe Sir's giving you the thumbs up.
Bev Test J Saws, Buenos Familia, KUAM, and Link Family. What do we got here? Rosemary Laguania comments. While it was amazing to learn that the governor accepted the legislature's 2021 People's Plan, I hope this collaboration will continue. I appreciate the legislators sharing the plan with the people, and yet we have not seen the governor's plan. But I'm happy to learn that it apparently aligned with the senators. Be that as it may, I wholeheartedly applaud the senators' tenacity and due diligence in working together for the future of our island. Please continue with pushing and providing more transparency, especially in upcoming weeks and months, to ensure the funds go where they're needed. Kudos.
So now are we in technically like a negotiation phase, or is everything hunky dory and we just start cutting checks, or
No, it's still,
or was it
still a while away from that. It kind of sounds like this is when you go to the boss and you say, "Hey, I want to spend this money that way," and the boss says, "Okay, thank you for your idea, but I'm still the boss." That's kind of the takeaway.
and then serve and volley, and then the numbers will be kind of like back and forth.
Right.
And,
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the news at 6:45. Sarah Thomas Netty Dog, the Office of Homeless and Poverty Prevention, is coming on. Is there a new shelter or something, Bree?
From what I understand, I guess while I was away, there was a meeting of OHAP, and they were talking about the possibility of opening a second shelter.
Right on. We're also getting...
That's what I understand.
Senator Joanne Brown, who triggered the governor a little bit yesterday during the press conference. I was able to ask. She had come out with a release and said she didn't go to the meeting, first of all. She said that it was a secret meeting and that, senators, public officials discussing public money that should be talked about in a setting where the public can access it. Totally agree, and it was interesting. I was able to ask the governor about that, so we got that coming up. But we'll go ahead and get into the news now, 6:45. The show on this Wednesday, May 12, 2021. Good morning, morning. Is proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box with the very latest from deep in home quarantine. From the KUAM News team, Sabrina Salas Matanani. Good morning, Sabrina.
Today, good morning, everybody. A developing story as units from the Guam Fire Department are responding to a warehouse fire in the Harmon Industrial Park. The 911 report was made just after 4:30 this morning. Once we receive more information, of course, we will pass it along. The Guam Power Authority, in the meantime, as well as the Guam Fire Department, are investigating the cause of a fire Tuesday afternoon at the Cabras Power Plant. According to GPA, an electrical panel at GPA's Cabras 1 unit caught fire. The unit immediately was shut down. No one was injured, and there was no interruption of services. No word on whether Speaker Teresa Lahi, who is the oversight chair over land issues, will call an oversight hearing over the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. But Governor Lulian Guerrero stands by her controversial hiring of former CLTC Administrator Jack Hattig. Hattig started his first day on the job at Adelup on Monday. He's getting paid an annual salary of $70,000 to serve as a special assistant assigned to oversee capital improvement projects.
Do you have any candidates for CLTC director? How's the search going?
I do.
And can you describe maybe some of the duties of Mr. Hattig as a special assistant for Adelup?
Sure. As I start reopening and start, bringing more revitalization and better services, we're going to be doing a lot of projects. So there's the hospital project, there's the public health laboratory projects, there's the fisherman co-op project, there's the prison project, all these, right? So I want Jack to be my assistant in, just going through all these programs, projects, task force meetings and all that, and reporting straight to me what he thinks the progress is. Hey, Governor, the health task force met, they're meeting regularly, they're meeting every week. Wow, I'm really seeing good progress, things like that. Hey, the fisherman co-op, the coastline hasn't been fixed yet. Okay, Jack, let's call, Guido.
So overseeing some of these major CIPs.
They're like he's going to be like my project manager kind of thing.
Does he have the experience for that?
He has had some experience, yes.
I will help him, don't worry.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And I have, so I know exactly what to do.
As we reported, Hattig resigned from the CLTC amid controversy and an investigation by the board after allegations surfaced by a land agent of coercion and altering a land report. The board, however, did not release the findings of their investigation, only finding that he was unsuitable to lead the agency. Senator Joanne Brown, in a letter to the speaker, insinuates that the commission is participating in a cover-up and that the people deserve answers. With more news, here is Adriana Cotero.
Hafden, good morning, everyone. I'm Adriana Cotero with your headlines here on The Link. Showing off a united front, leaders from both the administration and the legislature got together at Adaloop Tuesday afternoon and said they are in basic agreement over how to spend the millions of dollars in fiscal recovery funding. Governor Lulian Guerrero said it was the first time in her administration that she hosted both the Democratic and Republican caucus and said it was a very productive meeting.
It was a very cooperative. We all decided that it is best to speak in one unified voice as public officials, and so we can really show the people of Guam that in times that are very necessary to work together, we step up to the plate.
We also spoke with Speaker Therese Terlahi and Minority Leader Chris Duenas, who are there to pitch the legislature's priority list.
All of this is an investment in our children and their future, and that our island can really move forward, and we want to take that opportunity. So I think everyone in the room kind of felt good about that agreement that we had all come to. So I'm very much looking forward to the details. They're going to put together a plan like they did for the CARES spending plan and submit that down.
I got to agree with the speaker. It's going to come down to the details in the coming weeks. We are happy that the governor has notified us that the cash will be here soon, maybe in as short time as 5 days. So really, that's when the detail and the work will begin.
It was a closed-door meeting with 14 senators attending. Senator Joanne Brown did not show up in protest of what she called a secret legislative meeting. Congressman Michael San Nicolas also weighed in on the local fiscal recovery funds, calling a news conference to go over the details of the plan as announced by the Treasury.
San Nicolas went through each of the legislature's proposed spending priorities and noted that with the exception of a few, all seem to fit the guidelines. He also believes certain legacy issues such as fully funding the Chamorro Land Trust should be among the priorities. San Nicolas also singled out premium pay for essential lower-income workers.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the essential workers doing what they did. And so that is absolutely something that I believe needs to be recognized and prioritized.
He says they may also be eligible for retrospective premium pay. Vice Speaker Tina Barnes has jumped on the issue. In a news release, she called on the governor to issue premium pay to critical workers. Barnes says it means up to $13 more per hour, up to a total of $25,000 per eligible worker. Meanwhile, the territories will receive $4.5 billion out of the $350 billion, or a little over 1% of local recovery funding. San Nicolas says it's more than a fair apportionment for Guam.
If we were to, on a per capita basis, evaluate all of the money that we've received, we actually received a lot more than most states.
San Nicolas also discussed several ineligible uses, in particular the funding cannot be used to offset tax cuts. The governor, though, has made it clear that she does not support any reduction of the business privilege tax. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
It's not a cage, but a courtroom. Former UFC fighter John Tuck is fighting allegations of rape. Here's more from opening arguments from day one of his trial. It was in the early morning hours of March 4th, 2020, when former UFC fighter John Tuck allegedly raped a 21-year-old woman behind the Westin Chapel in Tumon. Now he is on trial facing criminal sexual conduct charges. Prosecuting the case, Assistant Attorney General Rochelle Canto tells the jury this is a case about consent that was never given, and described how the victim was on her menstrual cycle and told the defendant multiple times no.
The evidence will show that this is a case where the defendant overpowered a drunk young woman and forcibly raped her.
The victim is originally from the States. She was here on island working as a dancer at Foxy's nightclub. As Canto detailed that after finishing up at work, the victim went across the street to Jardy's restaurant, where she encountered the defendant.
He took her to the Westin Chapel. But they didn't go inside the chapel. He took her around the chapel to the side of the chapel that overlooks the cliff, where nobody could ever hear her scream. And this is where he sexually assaulted her.
Canto states that the victim then ran back into the restaurant and confided with her friend that she was raped. The friend named Coco took a video on her phone confronting the defendant. The The video was played back and brought into evidence during the prosecution's case in chief, and prior to this, defense counsel Randy Cunliffe noted the words exchanged in the video during his opening statements.
You will hear Coco accuse John of raping. And you will hear John say, "Did I rape you? Are you saying I raped you?"
Cunliffe depicting the incident not as rape but rather as consensual sex, and painting the picture that the victim plotted the crime, as he said she had plans to sue Tuck for monetary damages.
On March 3rd, 2020, Mr. Tuck, along with a gentleman by the name of Larry Oginoko, who was a NFL player who had come to Guam for some sort of a program, and one of Larry's friends, by the name of Ben, went out in that evening. During the evening, they stopped and took boxes. You will hear testimony that while Jonathan Tuck, Larry O, and his friend were at boxes, Miss saw somebody approach John and ask him for his autograph.
About 30 minutes after the alleged rape, the victim reported the walk-in criminal sexual conduct complaint at the Cheddar precinct. The responding officers were the first witnesses to testify. This trial is ongoing.
Late yesterday afternoon, the victim had to face her perpetrator as she was brought forward to testify. Tuck's rape trial continues this morning at 9 a.m. More than 16,000 restaurants and other food and beverage businesses have been approved for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. The SBA says this first round of funding amounts to more than $2 billion since the program was launched a week ago. The grant funding should be in bank accounts as early as tomorrow. Some $28.6 billion is available under the RRF. The SBA will continue to fund approved applications until all funds have been exhausted. Guam SBA branch manager Ken Lujan says no local application data is available, but he expects more information will be provided after the initial 21-day period in which women, veterans, and the socially disadvantaged are given priority. The GHRA has been assisting local businesses with their applications. That's news for now. We'll see you all at 6 tonight on Primetime.
In other news, Public Health has launched a system to verify whether you've been vaccinated. With more details, here is Tyler Mantanani.
The governor may have gone back on plans of reopening the island, but that doesn't mean plans on adjusting traveler quarantine protocols have ceased. During the governor's press conference in late April, the proposal was that travelers would be required to produce an additional layer of verification of being vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccine. Public Health PIO Janella Carrera.
The proposal that was laid out during that press conference is that if you are fully vaccinated, we would ask that you also get a verification from your state health department. And so in the case for Guam, it would be through the immunization program here in Guam at Public Health.
The current plan is to have a printout verification signed by a representative at the immunization program and then have it stamped as a true copy. But Carrera says that, like the private clinics, they're also looking at going digital in hopes of making the process as smooth as possible for all travelers.
Whether it's through a QR or other digital format so that travelers won't have to carry around paper when they travel.
Requests for verification of COVID-19 vaccination can be made by booking an appointment with the DPHSS immunization program. To book an appointment, call 735-7143 or send an email to immunizationprogram@dphss.guam.gov. Requests should be submitted 5 to 7 days in advance. Those who were fully vaccinated at one of the enrolled COVID-19 provider clinics or pharmacies may also make a request for verification of their COVID-19 vaccination through their private healthcare provider. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matsanani.
17 million more Americans are now eligible to receive the Pfizer vaccine after the FDA gave an emergency use authorization to begin administering the vaccine to kids aged 12 to 15 years old. Skylar Henry reports.
The FDA has signed off on Pfizer's request to begin vaccinating children ages 12 to 15.
We know that this is a big step for our country, as vaccinating a younger population can bring us closer to a sense of normalcy and to ending this pandemic.
The drug company says clinical trials showed the vaccine is 100% effective, preventing illness in that age group.
We had 0 cases in the vaccine recipients and 18 in those that received placebo.
The shots could be available for young people as soon as a CDC advisory committee completes its review tomorrow. States will be able to get middle school students vaccinated before the fall.
I have a 16-year-old myself, and I can tell you he wanted to get the vaccine. He wants his life back. These kids want to go back to school. They want to go back to the things they love.
But parents may not be rushing to sign their children up for the shots. A recent survey showed only 29% of parents are ready for their kids to get vaccinated, while nearly 1 in 5 say they will definitely not let their children get the vaccine. The U.S. is seeing adult vaccination rates fall as well. President Biden is speaking with some governors today to discuss what they are doing to get more of their state's residents vaccinated.
The long-term fate of many of our communities depends on getting people vaccinated.
About 25% of American adults say they will not get a vaccine, with the number one reason being they want to wait to see if it's safe. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Meanwhile, the Joint Information Center reports that out of 360 test samples taken Monday, 1 came back positive for COVID. The case reported recent travel history and was identified in quarantine. This brings the total number of officially reported cases of COVID-19 on Guam since March of last year to 8,044. There have been 139 deaths. 88 of those cases are active, and there have been more than 7,800 recoveries. 5 people are hospitalized, 1 in ICU on a ventilator. The CAR score is 0.8. As far as vaccination numbers, a total of 71,115 island residents are fully immunized. Meanwhile, the Guam Department of Education and Public Health are hosting Vaccinate Before You Graduate. It'll be held on Monday, May 24th from 9 a.m. to 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the JFK High School gym. Although it's geared towards seniors who will be receiving their diplomas, all eligible students and people in the community may avail themselves of the vaccination clinic. And that is your news. Stay tuned for more on the link after the break.
June makes the best malasadas in Hawaii, a fact not lost on Daryl, whose brother Byron is cooking the onaga he caught at his secret fishing spot with his girlfriend Malia, who used to work for the Shave Ice Guy, whose second cousin Vince drives the school bus ridden by Calais, whose auntie makes the best malasadas in Hawaii. Everything here is connected, and with the new First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, you can stay just as connected to your finances, and it all starts with yes.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Family platter of fried chicken? Check. Tray of red rice? Check. Birthday cake? Check. 1 case of water? Check. 12-pack of beer? Check. 2 cases of Pepsi?
Check. When you have a long checklist but are short on time, we've got you. Get it delivered by us. Order on the app or website at uno-go.com. Guam on demand.
Shoot, I forgot the paper product.
Oh wait, UnoGo has that too. KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time each Friday to talk food, taste food, and bring you all the latest and greatest in food from King's Restaurants and Ruby Tuesday Guam, old faves, new hits, and everything on the menu in between. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link. Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
KUAM Communications and Denny's Guam presents Mamapreneurs, a special multi-platform series throughout the month of May showcasing mothers who are also local entrepreneurs in our community. In commemoration of Mother's Day, during weekdays in May, we'll feature daily profiles of these multitasking mamas and their businesses. Additionally, on KUAM News Primetime every Monday in May, we'll showcase a different enterprising mamapreneur. Check out our online directory of all these businesses as well on KUAM.com. And if you know a mamapreneur we should feature, send us a message on social media or email executiveproducer@KUAM.com. Mamapreneurs is brought to you by Denny's. Guam's Diner is always open.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC. After a year with so many games and events delayed or unplayed, the world is ready for anything and everything in the world of sports. KUAM Communications is ready with more games, more championships, and more specials that are guaranteed to bring out the fan in you. Don't miss a minute of gameplay from NBC on KUAM TV 8 or from CBS on KUAM TV 11. Every month, we'll bring you the action and excitement. Brought to you locally by Michelob Ultra, Superior Light Beer, and Docomo Pacific. Just more great reasons to tune in and turn on so you'll fall in love with TV again with the best from KUAM Communications.
Catch SportsLink on the KUAM News Morning Show, The Link, every Friday to hear about the latest in sports news, game schedules, athlete profiles, and more. SportsLink, brought to you each week by Cure Alkaline Water, airs every Friday across the multimedia platforms of KUAM. Tune into the broadcast on Breeze 93.9 FM, on KUAM TV 11, live streaming through the KUAM News Facebook page, or view highlights on YouTube, KUAM News Facebook, and Instagram. SportsLink is hosted by Dave Delgado through KUAM Sports, and he will make sure that everyone knows what is happening on the field, in the gyms, and everywhere in between.
Looking for TV schedules, upcoming sports, or special presentations, or what you may have missed over the busy week you had? Well, look no further than KUAM Digital Digest. This weekly emailed newsletter puts all kinds of information in the hands of subscribers each and every week. Just subscribe and we will make sure you keep up with your favorites and stay informed and entertained throughout it all. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab, give us your email address, and you are all set. Brought to you in digital partnership with King's Restaurant and Ruby Tuesday Guam. It's the KUAM Digital Digest, your weekly guide to the latest information and best entertainment on the stations and platforms of KUAM.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Air Force Base. We are experiencing some unknown electrical disturbances. Do you copy? Sir, you're breaking up.
Let it be known we rep Guam and the scene of mine. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah, let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize and fulfill our destiny. Let it be known we rep Guam and the scene of mine. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah, let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize and fulfill our destiny. Creeping around the corner, twirling my flag like a helicopter. I'm repping my language, my culture, so fuck them haters. I'm a Latin stone soldier. Damn, they should've told ya. Been in this game so long, my people call me Toto Mona. North side, get it, south side, get it, east side, get it, west side, get it. Sa poco de fácil, todo sinya pumara. Binamek kutsu sa balilinggo, wilingwa hinita. But no guitar mo, sa representa ita no mu. Language Sebenarnya nabi sudah kelala kalian hela kata sama gahisi engkau satu sanileknya. Munga mesti dito sa nilu pasok kita nonita. Basta chatrumentu na mego corazon mitu. Sa inti kita nonita. Biba Tamoru. Let it be known we rep Koam and the cinema. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah. Let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize to fulfill our destiny.
Yeah.
Let it be known we rep Koam and the cinema. Let it be known we represent the island line. Yeah. Let it be known we living out our dream. We keep our eyes on the prize to fulfill our destiny.
From the outset, my people and my land been conquested. Conquistadors to samurais to Uncle Sam.
Hey, you know what though?
Just to teach a lesson.
Yesterday was the first time I went out in the field, on the field, since the pandemic. Yep. I mean, I went out. It's the first time I interviewed a high official in the pandemic. Yep. I risked my life to get you guys the story. Man. What do you guys think, though? I think it should have been open to the public. I think it's a no-duh. And I'm just not comfortable with how everyone's okay with, the closed-door meeting. Because I understand they do have closed-door meetings all the time, right? They had one for the Chamorro Land Trust with the chair of the Land Trust Commission, John Regis Jr., had a closed-door meeting with the governor. A week later, Jack Hattig resigned, right? So we don't know what happened there. Yep. No, what is that thing with the monkeys breed? No. No hear, no see, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not comfortable with it because I don't see why it had to be a closed-door meeting. It wasn't like they were discussing like life or death, or there's no confidentiality, there's no victim, there's no reason whatsoever to shield it from the public. I mean, was it something so important that we really needed to watch it? It was kind of just a draft discussion, I guess. But again, like was it that serious that you didn't want the people of Guam to be able to just watch it and also to just not get what we're talking about here? Because these senators, just last year, they were unanimously voting for the most part to call out the administration for a lack of transparency, for a lack of accessibility. Yet when it comes to denying us the transparency and the accessibility, all of a sudden you're okay with it? All of a sudden it's okay because you guys are in the loop now because you're in? That's the whole problem with this whole I'm in thing, is it creates an elite exclusive club. And the problem with I'm in is we can't all be in. It's just not sustainable. We don't have the resources to pay everybody $65,000 to boost Facebook posts or $70,000 to go around and what is Jack Hattig? What is he? A building inspector? What is he, Bree?
He's in.
He's in, exactly. He's in. Yeah. And so anyway, Senator Joanne Brown had come out with a release yesterday, right before the meeting. And it was Brown protest secret meeting. And do you have that release, Bree?
Yeah, I do. Her statement was, with the exception of legislative caucuses, everything that the legislature does should be held in public. The legislature should never meet, deliberate, or decide public business in secret. It's when these types of secret meetings are held, corruption thrives. I will not condone such activities by attending them. Compliance with the open government law is not optional. Providing adequate notices and public access to legislative session meetings is required by law. This is simply not a legislative caucus meeting, nor is it a chance meeting. It is a planned meeting to discuss and deliberate on the spending of the American Rescue Plan funds. The people of Guam should have access to these discussions so that everyone is aware of how these monies will be spent.
Right. And, so we're going to play this clip from the governor coming on. And Senator Joanne Brown is coming on next hour to talk about this, and also about, because we're talking about Hattig and the Chamorro Land Trust, and she's actually calling for an oversight hearing on this issue. Rosemary LaGuardia comments in on our Facebook Live feed. Good morning, Facebook Live. Open meeting would have allowed the people the opportunity to see our elected officials working together in a positive way. That's what I'm saying. If it was so kumbaya, right? It was just so great that the speaker and minority leader came out and they were glowing. They were just, oh my God, it was just beautiful. We're going to work together. If it was so great, like, well, why couldn't we, be a fly on the wall? Why couldn't we stream the meeting? That's what I don't get. It doesn't seem like a meeting that warrants, closed doors. And yeah, the governor was triggered. She was triggered. He was triggered by this. So I'd asked her, and we'll just go and play this clip now. I asked her, I said, hey, so what do you think about this? Senator Brown didn't show up to the meeting. She's protesting. She's calling it a secret meeting, and this was the governor's response.
It was not a secret meeting. We send out the letters. The media knew about it. We invited the media. We're now giving you information that we have discussed there. So I totally disagree with Senator Joanne Brown. I think this is just a way of trying to stir something up that's not there. And I'll tell you, if she was there, she would have appreciated the cooperation and the unification attitude of our public officials. I was just, it's an awakening for me. This is how we should be working together. So it was not a secret. If it was a secret, I'd hold it down in my Inarahan beach. But it's not. It's a public chamber area. You guys were right outside, and so forth. So I don't know why she felt that way, but it.
Yeah, there you go. And so I guess Senator Brown had brought receipts in a release where she had cited some laws and but you know what this is, guys? To me, the simple read on it is that the senators have been so desperate, and rightfully so. And maybe desperate's not the right way, but they have been really fighting. That's the word. They've been really fighting to be involved in being able to have a seat at the table, both literally and figuratively, when it comes to spending these American Rescue Plan funds. And, we had a couple of them on yesterday with Senator Sabina. She was like, I would no problem if it was an open meeting. And basically, I think all the senators we had on said, yeah, it should be open. But it wasn't, And I don't know, maybe the next meeting will be down at the Governor's Beach in Inarahan, Bree. What was that about? Like, are you going to rub in? You got a beach in Inarahan? Okay. People are hurting out here. 7:16. So we'll get Senator Brown on later, and I think we're getting Senator Moylan on. I think his take on it was interesting.
What did happen before the press conference, also aside from the letter coming out from Senator Joanne Brown, was the press conference that was held by Congressman Michael St. Nicholas, where he actually went through the legislature's spending plan and kind of went over, what might not fit into the U.S. Treasury guidelines and what would. And a majority of the items in the spending priority list by the legislature would fit in to the plan. There were some issues with the ORAT landfill provision, the money going to, I think, bonds, funding that the legislature was hoping to give to the Guam Ethics Commission. So we also carried that on our Facebook page, and you can kind of watch that and see his thoughts on it. And the speaker was also in on that call, and she was like, happy that there's this collaboration, right, between the congressman and as well as the governor's office on how we're going to prioritize the spending of the ARP, which was the $553 million, right?
Yeah.
That we kind of discussed yesterday.
Yep.
But you add in all the non-entitlement, I think that's what Mr. Burns said.
So I'd asked about that, Bree, yesterday, and they had said that initially that $664 million figure was something that they had got from staffers on Capitol Hill. And obviously that's not what we're getting, right? I think it was 604 or something like that.
Yeah.
Was the final.
With all the other stuff added in, right?
Yeah. But Congressman kind of went down the guidance from the Treasury, and from what I was able to see in his press conference, he kind of went down with the legislature's list too and said, okay, with this one, I think we can reasonably argue that it would fit under this section of the guidance. And right. So he went up and down. But one of the things that he was really pushing was this premium pay.
For critical essential workers.
Right.
And that is not for people that teleworked during the pandemic.
Right.
It's really for the people that were out there. I think he mentioned like grocery store workers, healthcare workers,
trash, garbage men.
Right.
Media, while we're talking about garbage men.
I didn't hear him say media, but
I said media in the press conference yesterday. Yeah, so Phil Leon Guerrero from the Post asked the governor, so what is this premium pay? What is your definition of a critical service worker or essential worker? And, of course, I was like, media, because media is listed as essential, right? I mean, I'm just trying to get us a little change, Bree.
Right. Get that bread, Chris.
Right,
Get that
yeah.
bread.
And so the governor kind of struggled answering that question because it is kind of a subjective question, right? What is an essential worker? But if you just look at the black and white of it and take out, because obviously we want everybody to feel like they're essential. But if you stayed home in the pandemic and you got paid, then maybe you weren't. Okay, let's just put it this way. We're all essential, but there's varying degrees of essential, okay? You could be like essential 1A, like a nurse, a doctor, an ER, or whatever, and then just go down the line. But I think the governor's answer was kind of like she was worried that maybe she would not include people who were essential. And so that's even, to even do this premium pay thing, that's something that they would have to kind of hammer down is what is and who will be the essential workers that are going to benefit from this premium pay plan. Which, what is it, Bree? Is it like retroactive on top of?
I think he mentioned something like that, but I'd have to go through all those the guidelines, and it's like 151 pages worth of reading.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I guess you guys had kind of discussed the premium pay issue while I was away, and so I was like, premium pay, wow.
Yeah, no, I think
it's not just. It kind of reminded me of like the COVID differential pay.
Yeah, which kind of what I think it's kind of what it is, except for it's for. Well, I don't want to say it's for the private sector. Yeah, we didn't really talk about it, Bree, but I think the congressman had brought it up before with this premium
what is
pay.
it, Bree? Is it like
Because that's that's a great. If the governor could pay out this premium pay, that's just another re-election cherry on top. We're actually going to play this clip before we go to Senator Moylan, Bree, and this is a clip from our field trip to Adelup yesterday. And is this it, Jay? Chris and Therese? Yeah. Okay, so this is the Speaker Therese Terlahi and Minority Leader Chris Duenas immediately after the closed-door meeting with the governor right here on the link.
We're live here at Adelup, right outside the governor's large conference room, where a closed-door meeting between 14 senators, the governor, lieutenant governor, and some of our top advisors was just concluded. We're here with Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas and Speaker Therese Terlahi. We'll go ahead and start with the speaker. The public, the media, barred from this meeting. So just right away, what are the most important things we need to know?
Well, we just talked in general terms about the list that we had given her. Of course, there you have the guidelines now today, and that they announced that they were going to be receiving the money, the cash of $553 in 4 days. So that's excellent news, and we are looking forward to she also, the governor. I want to thank her for the meeting. It was just pretty much to give us a general overview, and that she agrees with the priorities that we had set out. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited for the people of Guam. We agree that all of this is an investment in our children and their future, and that our island can really move forward, and we want to take that opportunity. So I think everyone in the room kind of felt good about that agreement that we had all come to. So I'm very much looking forward to the details. They're going to put together a plan like they did for the CARES spending plan and submit that down. So we will be able to see the details again.
I know you said there's a lot of speaking in general terms, but any firm commitments made on any of the priority items that you guys submitted to the governor?
Well, there was none that she pointed out that she did not agree with. So she pretty much just said she agreed with them. She highlighted that the RISE Act was in there and that the Mangafa program was also in there and that the business program that we are running through GIDA is also in there. So those are some of the things, of course, the infrastructure and some of the other plans she highlighted, but there was none that she said she did not support.
Senator Duenas, is there going to be any changes following the guidance coming out and any maybe differences in funding totals?
You know, I think I have to agree with the speaker. Essentially the governor said she agreed with our submission. She was actually quite pleased that what we had put forward had basically aligned with a lot of the priorities from the administration. I got to agree with the speaker. It's going to come down to the details in the coming weeks. We are happy that the governor has notified us that the cash will be here soon, maybe in as short time as 5 days. So really, that's when the detail and the work will begin. I think that the speaker and I as well, once again to mention the collegiality and the working together, all 15 members or 14 members here. I think where the real work will begin as well is now with the budget cycle. We have to reconcile what these plans and what's been laid out, how's that going to reconcile now with the budget? Because a lot of the discussion is on how this is going to affect the agencies. The governor mentioned also that this is, we've got over about 3 years to expend these funds. And so, we've got a timeline to work with as well. That has a lot to do with coinciding with the budget. The Speaker and I and all the members of the legislature recognize the good work of Office of Finance and Budget. It almost appears when we look across the table to Ed Byrne and Lester Carlson that it really was the numbers guys. It seems like that's probably where a lot of the meeting of the minds was, is that these are people who have been working on the perennial shortfalls in our government, the perennial shortfalls when it comes to services to our people. So we believe that that's probably where and why the general agreement is there. But the devil will be in the details, and we'll see. But I think the budget session is going to drive this. I'm glad the chairman has announced several agencies that are up for review. So we look for an aggressive timeline going forward to make sure that we have review of all the executive requests for the budgets to have a very good session July and into August, because that will have a lot to do with the impact of this funding.
Speaker commented about the RISE Act. Was there a firm commitment by the governor to pay out the RISE Act? Because I know that's been one of the real hot button issues with both Democrats and Republicans heading into this meeting.
We believe that the governor's declaration that the priorities were in line and there was no movement backwards from that. So we fully expect, I think the Speaker joins me in that, we fully expect the RISE Act to be paid out.
Thank you. Speaker, you shared the stage, so to speak, with Congressman Michael Nicholas, who kind of went a little more into some of the guidance. Do you see any of the guidance that he kind of shared today in the press conference altering any of the spend plans that you guys have for these ARP funds?
There were a couple that he pointed out were not exactly in line with a couple of the guidance, but I think overall, no, they were all pretty much in line, and he said he was as well pleased with our guidelines. And I want to say that it's really been quite a heartwarming process that when I worked with my colleagues on the oversight chairs of each of these agencies with the Office of Finance and Budget, who of course started us off with all the numbers and all the hard work, and then we had to finesse that, that they were totally willing to do the work involved, and the Republican senators, the same. Like, they were willing to get into the details. They were willing to really fund long-term projects for Guam that we all recognize have been in great need. I was surprised, and I'm just so pleased by that they were willing to do the hard work. They were willing to fund these things that we all agreed on. That was a priority. Of course, with the congressman agreeing as to the priorities, and now the governor, I think that's just fantastic news for the people of Guam. And I really look forward to the collaboration. That's another thing that she talked about during the meeting is she promised that she was going to collaborate, and that she also recognized that that was the way forward. So I'm very happy about that.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We're going to head into the...
From there, I was able to go in and interview the governor. Again, the stream, the Facebook Live that we did is up on our KOM News Facebook page, but we'll be playing a bunch of the clips from the press conference throughout the show. It's 7:28. The show proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and our friends at Jack in the Box, Joe Sir, where it's our lucky day. I just want to give back a little bit. as Jack in the Box today is going to deliver. They got some great things going on there. They got mini munchies, cheddar biscuits. Okay, we're getting some cheddar biscuits this morning. You can rise and shine because it's biscuit time with Jack's Cheddar Biscuit breakfast sandwiches. They're craveable biscuit breakfast sandwiches you'll love with a little something extra. Real cheddar cheese baked right in. Try them with hickory smoked bacon or grilled sausage. And, of course, a freshly cracked egg and slice of melty American cheese. Only at Jack in the Box. How's that sound, sir? Sounds good. Just giving back to you, Bree. Sorry, Bree.
All right. I'm in that weight loss challenge at work, so.
Yeah. Darn. Yeah, so we're doing a weight loss challenge at work, but no one told me about it. I don't know why. Hey, good morning.
Yes, it's in the chat.
Okay, I got to check the chat. Sabrina, of course, is in home quarantine, guys. Senator Jim Moylan was at the meeting yesterday. A little bit of a different take on it, Senator Moylan, because it was so positive, right? The governor was just riding high. She said she called it an awakening for her. Well, you have a different take. Go for it.
All right. Thank you. Yes, I was present. There was 14 of us senators, and we were allowed to bring one of our staff too. We did start on time, around 2:30, and the governor also was accompanied by the lieutenant governor and a few of her staff members. The one I recall were BBMR and DOA. She basically read out her statement, or provided her statement to us, saying that our proposal is much in line with the governor's proposal and what Adelup wants to do, which is, then we got into a lot of accolades of praising everybody for coming together. And
yeah, Senator Moylan, let me get in here. But so I was there, obviously, at the meeting, and I was there when the governor, lieutenant governor walked in, and I was kind of like eavesdropping a little bit. And I noticed that like a couple minutes after they walked in, there was all this applause. Like, what were you guys clapping about?
Well, we're asked to rise. As you've seen in other, when the governor appears at other places, folks are also asked to rise. So we were asked to rise and welcome the governor, and somehow some clapping started somewhere. And
I heard you were clapping the loudest, though. Were you clapping the loudest?
Pardon me? I'm sorry?
Were you clapping the loudest?
Yeah. But basically, the governor was just letting us know that since we're, according to the Adelup, we're all on the same page. She just wanted to thank us and to say it's also in line with what the governor's conferences also wanted to do with getting their message across to President Biden. And that's how this all came about, through the cooperation of the governors and throughout the nation, and then coming all the way to the territories. And so the governor then allowed us to, she said there's no real reason that we should all have something to input, but we can just hear from the speaker and the vice chair as well. So it started that way, and then a few questions were asked, but basically just a lot of accolades saying this is a first step of many, and how we united to come together to help the island with this, again, a good stimulus payment from the American Recovery Plan. I was looking for a little bit more meat, especially when it comes out to when these payouts were going to happen and what amounts are going to be put forth. But that wasn't mentioned. So number one on the senators' recommendations was the RISE Act. Other than hearing that we're in line with the governor's ideas on how to use the funding, I didn't hear if one of them will be the RISE Act. So there's still, it's very open to me. I don't know if those amounts or our suggestions will be done, or basically what I think it is okay, it's in line with what I had planned, and so we're okay. So now we can end this meeting. And I think we could have ended that in 45 minutes or less, but we kind of dragged it on for an hour, which is a few senators asked some questions, but at the end of the day, it's still up to the governor. And again, my concern is with like the Let's Get Guam Moving initiatives. I think it's really important we get the money back into the hands of the people so we can circulate the income which pays the GRT, right? Our consolidated revenue and expenditure reports are the top highest income earning income for the government of Guam. General fund is individual tax, corporate tax, withholding tax, and the BBT. Pumping these monies into different areas like the Biden plan, and the governor is pretty much writing off the Biden plan into infrastructure. Those are all, that's all fine. But will that generate income for the island? Will that help the small businesses get going? Or do we focus first on the small businesses, get people back to work, open up our stores, and then generate the income that way? The idea about increasing pay for frontliners, again, that's fine too. But will we be able to sustain that? The governor also mentioned that possibly a fourth stimulus to come out of the Biden administration. That will be nice too. But in the meantime, I think we need to get our economy open again and put the money back into the people's hands, like through the RISE Act and other initiatives that we introduced to help small businesses. So I was pleased with the governor, inviting us in there and giving us all accolades and saying, hey, let's all work together. This is a monumental moment, and
historical.
We can all work it out, right?
She,
and then
she called it historical.
Started.
Yeah.
You mentioned how she was talking about how your plan kind of aligns with her priorities, but did she actually present what her spending priorities are?
Not really, but we do know that the governor does want to focus on the shortcomings of our services, government services, where they are behind in their collections or their getting their money right from the general fund. So she wants to subsidize that with this money, in which the American Rescue Plan kind of focuses on that as well. So it's the services provided by the government in order to provide that the safety, education, and health of the people of Guam. I think that is where the governor's priorities will be. But amounts, when this happens, the governor has like 3 years to utilize this money. How soon this would happen, I'm not sure. Timelines, unknown. So we're basically, again, we're just told that, hey, your plan is pretty good. My plan is of course my plan, and yours fits sort of into my plan, and I'll let you know what my plan is and when I implement it, when I'm ready. That's about all I really got out of it, and could have ended in 30 minutes, but it was nice to see the governor and the lieutenant governor anyway.
Man, what a hater.
Hey, come on, they're good people.
Real talk.
Real talk. No, Senator.
Real talk.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, it's kind of a little, well, it's obviously very different from what the minority leader and the speaker, because they were just so optimistic. But when I was able to interview the governor afterwards, I have to agree with you. The more I asked about this collaborative spirit, and the more I asked about, what she intends to take away from the meeting and from the list of priorities from the senators, she kind of was going back to that it was ultimately her call. And she said, they know, I asked for their ideas, but at the end of the day, it's my decision and I'll decide. And she also disagreed with the lower amount that you guys wanted to set aside for the building of a new hospital. So there were some points of not contention, I guess, but I mean, although it was kind of heralded as so collaborative, I think the last question I asked the governor, she was basically like, hey, it's my call at the end of the day.
Right. And at least we had our foot in the door much more than we did during the first stimulus release,
right?
With the CARES fund, right? And yes, the conversation did go about with the hospital also. The senator's proposal was $200 million, and the governor's sticking with her $300 million. I think, we have a good example of how we run a hospital on Guam. In 30 plus years, you can see the situation and it's in. Not necessarily because of the pandemic, it's just because how we manage things here, how we maintain things. And, that I'm more inclined with how the success we had at building new schools, a public-private partnership that they maintain it for 25 years as we pay a fee, and then eventually it comes to the government of Guam. I don't want to say it's going to be disastrous, but I would prefer something seen successful. Like building schools. And likewise, we should do the same with our hospital, using public-private partnership, and to include the management of the hospital so our nurses and doctors can focus on what they do best. We got the best doctors and nurses, but but when we tie them up with administrative responsibilities and maintaining the structure of the hospital, I think we're taking away from the skills that we have here and for the health of the people. So I think that would be a better route than dedicating 300 million or 200 million from this American Recovery Plan. The money, again, it needs to be circulated into the economy to help our consolidated revenue and expenditure report. We need to see that funding grow into the government of Guam to maintain, rather than hoping we're going to have a forced stimulus from this Biden administration, which just is going to increase taxes. And that's all going to funnel down to Guam. So
Senator.
I'm still glad I went to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm the more communication we have, that would, of course, is better. I think it could have been an open meeting. There's nothing that we're not saying now that wasn't basically said during the meeting, and people were very cordial and very polite. And it should have been fine. That hopefully next time you guys are invited in. I'll get you as my +1, Chris. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. Yeah, Senator, and when I asked the governor about this, and we'll just kind of expand on this secret meeting thing, like her understanding of just transparency and accessibility and open government, it's very like private sector. I'm just going to say it is, because she came up in the private sector. So her mentality about what the people deserve, need, and have a right to know, it's rooted in a bank. And the bank is like so secretive, of course, because it's your money, it's people's money. So, I mean, I get it that that's like her center and where she's coming from. But for her to say, when I asked, why was it a secret meeting? She was like, oh, no, the media was invited. Yeah, we were invited to hang outside and wait until it was done. We weren't invited in. In fact, Phil from the Post went in and they said, oh, you got to get out. So, right. I mean, her idea of transparency is if we're in the same village as a secret meeting, it's somehow transparent and accessible. And I think they just don't get it. She just doesn't get that, public office is supposed to come with at least a baseline guarantee of transparency and accountability. And I just think it's so funny how these senators were so excited to be in this meeting when just last year they were crying to the high heavens about how there was no transparency, no accountability, no accessibility, no public access to these physicians advisory group meetings. And yet here we are breaking our arms, patting each other on the back for a collaborative spirit that the public didn't even get to witness. I mean, it was so collaborative. Like, what was the big deal about letting us in the room?
Yeah, very, very, very good point, Chris. There was nothing really there that was should be kept in private. I don't think so. And I think if the media was there, it would help the people understand more by seeing our faces, sitting down and talking with the governor. And it would have been a positive aspect. So hopefully in the next one, again, you're my +1.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we're going to Adelup or if we're going to the Inaron Beach House.
Okay.
Makes you wonder, though. Wait, so are you holding secret meetings in Iran?
Yeah, we got to start staking out in Iran. I'll send my party down there. I can just do a drive-by every once in a while, party, and look at anything fishy going on.
Yeah, Senator, I wanted to follow up on something the governor's continuously mentioned about using the ARP funds to cover revenue loss or lost revenue, and it was also allowed under the U.S. Treasury guidelines. But do we know how much is this loss in revenue?
Well, the CRER report does show us, I'm not sure if 20 million plus there, but for the different agencies, the breakdown, I'm not aware. I'm sure BBMR will be able to determine those amounts, and that the agencies will be impressing upon the governor the importance of the additional income they need to provide their critical services. So not really. I do know the governor or our government, based on the CRER report, is not collecting as we projected for our budget. And there are shortfalls already identified, other than that last month's report where we had that large gain of close to $30 million from, I think it was a capital gains tax on that. That was very helpful for the government. But those are like stimulus things, right? It's just once in a while. And I was hoping the governor could use that to subsidize the BBT, right? We could have used that also to reduce the BBT, and that would have been helpful to help again, businesses come back and maybe hire an additional person instead of paying more in taxes and getting that revenue to provide services that way. So that's where my focus will continue to be. As the government has this opportunity now for the American relief plan here, we need to pump it back into the economy, and that I think the best way to do that is through the small businesses and individuals. Like we proposed a $500 credit card program to be used specifically just on Guam only, and that it's not just. I think initially the proposal was for restaurants, but this time the proposal is for anywhere that they so wish. Their priorities could be groceries, gasoline, or paying their rent, or buying clothes for their kids as they go back to school. So that again will be helpful to stimulate the economy. You get that money circulating 3+ times. That's 3+ times in BBT collections. That's 3 more employees. That's 3 more companies they may be shopping at. So it's all positive to recirculate this money and grow the general fund. The idea that the Biden administration may be having a forced stimulus, that'd be nice, right? But however, how would that affect our economy? I think it's going to increase taxes, and then that of course affects our cost of living, especially for us on Guam when our shipping costs are, because we're in the middle of the ocean. We had to consider that as well, and the competition on the island too. So
wait a minute, are you coming out again? You don't want a forced stimulus?
I wouldn't disagree with it, but I'm not going to rely that it will happen. I think we need to focus this money on building our economy. And if the forced stimulus comes up, okay, maybe we can look at our infrastructure by then too. But if it doesn't come and we didn't build our economy, sustainability is going to be an issue. And I just wouldn't like to see that happen.
Did you really, I don't know if you saw the stream of the interview we had with the governor yesterday, but the speaker, the minority leader, they were very positive about what they characterize as a commitment by the governor to pay out the RISE Act. But when I asked the governor if she intends to pay out the RISE Act as, prescribed in the law, her answer was very, very, totally confusion. Because she said that, first of all, she was kind of like not clear on the right. She said, I think it's for unemployed people. And then she said the problem that she had with it was that the government of Guam employees weren't eligible, even though they met the income requirement, and that they weren't going to be paid it, and that the retirees weren't going to be paid it. And then she said something about she wants to pay it out to them, but that's not what the law says. So I was just so confused. And you were in the meeting, the secret meeting, behind closed doors. So what can you tell us exactly? What did the governor say about paying out the RISE Act? Did she say, yeah, I'm going to pay it, or I support it? Because, actually paying it and supporting it, to me, are seeming like two different things.
Yeah, right. The discussion did not get into the RISE Act during our meeting. It was an overall overview of what the senators proposed and what the governor has in mind. And just saying that, hey, we're kind of on the same page here, and I'm glad we got to do this. But specifics of when and if the RISE Act will be paid was not mentioned. As we know, the governor for the Organic Act, as she quoted for us previously, it's all in her hands. It's all in, you could say, her purse, if you wanted to. And we're just basically giving our recommendations, our wish list, our shopping list. And hopefully the governor chooses to take some of those ideas and apply it. So she's at the helm.
Yeah.
And no, I did not hear if that RISE Act will be paid, not paid, or adjusted or amended. I did not hear that. And we've asked several questions previously in different letters, and we could have even used that the credit that we received also to pay out the RISE Act as well previously too. We'll be saving on the Medicare, I believe, the $50-some million on that. We can pay the RISE Act with that as well if you don't want to use the American Rescue Plan money either. So there's multiple ways we can pay the RISE Act. but it's when this happens, that's the governor's call. We put in our recommendations, and we followed up with letters as well.
Yeah.
I did not walk away
You know,
after that meeting with that.
it almost seems like, because we haven't seen anything about the governor's plan. She keeps talking about how your plan aligns with her plan. But what if she doesn't even have a plan and she just tricked the legislature into coming up with a plan for her? Because we haven't seen we've seen nothing in black and white. Nothing. We haven't seen anything. There's nothing on paper that says the governor is going to do this, she's going to do that.
Yeah, nor have I. And that question was asked as well. And,
yeah. I mean, you guys didn't say when she said, "Oh, it really aligns with my plan." You guys weren't like, "Well, can we see your plan?"
That was hinted.
Was everybody too busy holding hands?
Let him talk.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No plan was proposed by the governor. We didn't exchange papers either, and it was mentioned that upon the development, I believe that it will be shared with the legislature. But that is not as of yet. I haven't seen anything. That's where we are.
Was there any discussion on how much and how we're going to pay, like, for example, the quarantine facilities? I mean, is it going to come from these ARP funds or?
Specifics, no. That wasn't
no
details. No. But
what
we
about
know that.
What about
Public
the US
health
Treasury?
I'm sorry, public health, I'm sure will be receiving the additional monies from the American Recovery Plan, but which will come up from the payment of that, which is part of the quarantine situation. But I'm wondering how long we're going to keep this quarantine on if we're going to eventually end it, right? So again, no details. That meeting was a lot of accolades and congratulations, and we're glad we're all sitting around the table together. Details were not mentioned.
Did you guys discuss the U.S. Treasury guidelines that were issued yesterday morning? I mean, Congressman Nicholas held a press conference just before, and he went through the list of that you guys had submitted. So that didn't even transpire during this 1 hour, you guys are great meeting?
Details, no, again, not. And I did hear the congressman's explanation of the guidelines, which was very good. He kind of broke it down to say, you can pay this, you may have to argue with this point, and you can pay this out and not pay this, but you can fight for it with the U.S. Treasury by explaining your point of view. But during the meeting, no, not discuss either. Again, it was more like, we're glad we're sitting around the table, and this is a monumental occasion that we come together and work for the people of Koam.
Oh, man. So if there was no plan, there's only legislature's plan, like, what did you guys collaborate on? Because everyone was talking about collaborate.
Yeah, I believe 15 of us signed the letter to the governor with our recommendations. Then she applauded us for doing that. Crossing the table, Republicans and Democrats sitting down and agreeing, 15 of us coming together with one plan to the governor. So we got a hand of applause for that. And then, but how this works with the governor, basically we're told it will work where it fits in with the governor's plan, which is, understood. She made that clear. At least at this point, we had the opportunity to sit down at the table and kind of just shake hands on it, and let's see how it goes from there. Right? And I'm wondering, I'm not doubting, but of course there's a lot more details that we need to see happen. And as long as we keep on applying our interest into it with the governor and Adelup, maybe we can get our view across, coming from the House of the People.
All right.
So is the legislature going to get back together and kind of refine this plan, change it now that the guidelines are out by the Treasury?
I would think that would be a great idea, and relook at it. And then if we, like our congressman has said, there's some things, I think it was the hospital and the roads, that we may need to address separately with the Treasury Department to see if we can have that also part of utilizing of the money. The governor did, by the way, mention that we didn't mention the airport in our plan from the senator, but she is interested in assisting the airport as well, which should fall in line with the guidelines. If the senators all get back together, it's possible. I haven't heard of that being proposed just yet.
So how did this meeting end?
Almost in prayer. It was it was very warm and fuzzy feeling. I was sharing with my senator next to me. It's like, I just feel really good, like I graduated almost. It was an uplifting moment to be in the same room all together with the governor and talking about this plan. And I think that's what it really was meant to be from the start. Just to sit down and say, hey, let's work this out together. I got your plan. I'll look at it. I have my plan. I'm still working on it. And I'll let you know how it goes as we progress and as the money comes in and following the guidelines of the U.S. Treasury. That was all that meeting was really about. Was it important that we have it? I do think so. Was it the nuts and bolts? Was it a working meeting? No, not really. It was just coming to an understanding with each other and kind of letting the public know that we're working together for the betterment of the island.
All right.
When are you guys going to meet again? Was there this commitment like, we're going to do this, every other week or?
No, not mentioned, but I'm sure if the speaker so wished to request for another invitation, the governor will abide to that. So, open door. In the meantime, it's an open door. And I've had my couple of meetings already with Adelup, with the governor and the lieutenant governor on our Let's Get Guam Moving initiatives. And I'm hoping to move those forward in the meantime as well. It's really about getting the money back into the hands of the people, and I'll continue to try to work forward on doing so.
All right. Anything else, Bree?
Well, it didn't sound like there was a whole lot of, what did you say, meat?
Did you guys take a picture at the end or what?
Sorry, say that again.
Did you guys take a picture at the end?
No.
Oh, okay. Seems like that's all that was missing.
I'll remember to take a selfie
Yeah.
next time too. We'll send it your way.
All right. And next time you have a meeting with the governor, make sure you ask her if you can stream it for the people.
That would be nice. Yes.
All right. All right, Senator.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right on.
Adjust.
Missed that. 7:56. So it's kind of sounding like it was a photo op without the photo op meeting. We had a comment.
You never know. There might have been pictures that were taken. Didn't they have like a social media people there?
They did. They had the digital engagement manager who was on the premises.
There probably will be a nice video. I would not be surprised if there's a video.
Fuzzy, right? A nice filtered.
Yeah.
We had a comment here. Tony commented in, what kind of meeting was that then? Useless. Rosemary Laguatnia says, it was similar to a proclamation signing, it seems like. It proves the meeting should never have been closed. Oh, there you go. Well, we'll expand on those points when Senator Joanne Brown comes on. It's kind of going to be interesting because she's also calling for an oversight hearing of the Chamorro Land Trust. And the governor did touch on the role that dethroned former Land Trust Administrator Jack Hattig will now have at Adelup. You guys are going to get a kick out of that if you haven't heard already. It was freaking hilarious. So that's coming up. We're going to take a quick break, and we're coming back on KUAM TV on the way, right here on the link at 7:56. Good morning.
We got your 6.
At 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
It is 8 o'clock. Good morning. KUAM TV. My name's Chris.
Good morning, everybody.
Right. Thank you, Jay. All right.
When one of us is on Zoom, we have to kind of like, because even Bree, when you guys were just interviewing Senator Moylan, it's like, okay, but I'm sorry, but you get those every once in a while.
Yeah, it's 8:01. Sabrina Salas-Mentanani standing by in home quarantine. Good morning, Sabrina.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so the question, Bree, everybody wants to know, when are you physically back in the office?
I got my letter. It said my home quarantine, I believe, is done on the 18th.
Right. All right.
So that means the day after, or that day you can venture out?
She's getting out right in time for payday.
Ah.
I think the day after.
It's 8:01.
Which is the 19th.
Wednesday, May 12, 2021 episode of The Link, which is proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Cabo Enterprises, ITN, and Jack in the Box, where we're going to show you some great new items on Jack in the Box's menu when we get them delivered here this morning. So thank you guys for that. Also on the way, Senator Joanne Brown coming on to talk Chamorro Land Trust oversight hearing, secret meetings, and a lot of good stuff. And then, we're going to catch up with Annalyn Gagarin, who's the father of Mr. Cunliffe, right, who has been missing and still missing. And I don't know the status of the search for this elderly gentleman who wandered off. I want to say it was probably about a month ago, Bree?
Yeah, I think so. It was maybe even a little bit longer than a month.
Right. And so there was a big push, a big search that went on kind of for the first few days. And then we had the daughter, Annalyn, on a little bit after that, but just haven't heard anything. And, you guys know I stay down south, and they actually have the flyers up at the Village Mom and Pop store. And so I always think about this whenever I go to the store. And so I asked her to come on. So we'll come on with her and just kind of put that push out again in case you guys have seen anything. All right. It's 8:03 now. We'll go ahead and do news. Lots to talk about this morning on The Link. So with the very latest from the KUAM news team all the way live from home quarantine in Jigo, Sabrina Salas-Mentanani. Good morning, Sabrina.
Today, everybody. News from Congressman Michael San Nicolas announcing more ARP funding coming to Guam. The congressman saying the U.S. Department of Education announcing emergency grants today for post-secondary education. The University of Guam will be getting $12.1 million. The Guam Community College, $5.7 million. And the Pacific Islands College, $344,000. The funds are on top of the $286 million in federal relief support provided to the Guam Department of Education and are in addition to the $553 million or $600 million appropriation to the government of Guam. San Nicolas says, quote, "We are in communication with all of our learning institutions to utilize these funds to restore areas in our education system that have been neglected for decades due to underfunding." He adds, "We are supporting our learning institution to direct as much funding as possible towards economic diversification and development education to help our workforce become a resource to attract newer, high-paying and skill-intensive jobs and industries to our island. Institutions can use the money to, among other things, support vulnerable students, monitor and suppress the coronavirus, and re-engage students whose education was disrupted by the pandemic." Also, units from the Guam Fire Department responding to a warehouse fire in the Harmon Industrial Park. The 911 report was made just after 4:30 this morning. We are still waiting for more information, and once we get it, we will, of course, pass it along. In the meantime, GFD, as well as the Guam Power Authority, are investigating the cause of a fire that ignited Tuesday afternoon at the Cabris power plants. According to GPA, an electrical panel at Cabris Unit 1 caught fire. The unit was immediately shut down. There was no injuries and there was no reports of service interruption. There's also no word on whether Speaker Therese Terlahi, who is the oversight chair over land issues, will call an oversight hearing over the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. But Governor Lilian Guerrero stands by her controversial hiring of a former CLTC administrator, Jack Hatzig. Hatchick started his first day on the job at Adelup on Monday. He's getting paid an annual salary of $70,000 to serve as a special assistant assigned to oversee capital improvement projects.
Do you have any candidates for CLTC director? How's the search been?
I do.
And can you describe maybe some of the duties of Mr. Hatzick as a special assistant for Adelup?
Sure. As I start reopening and start, bringing more revitalization and better services, we're going to be doing a lot of projects. So there's the hospital project, there's the public health laboratory projects, there's the fisherman co-op project, there's the prison project, all these, right? So I want Jack to be my assistant in, just going through all these programs, projects, task force meetings and all that, and reporting straight to me what he thinks the progress is. Hey, Governor, the health task force met, they're meeting regularly, they're meeting every week. Wow, I'm really seeing good progress, things like that. Hey, the fisherman co-op, the coastline hasn't been fixed yet. Okay, Jack, let's call, Guido.
So overseeing some of these major CIPs.
They're like he's going to be like my project manager kind of thing.
Does he have the experience for that?
He has had some experience, yes.
And we'll help him, don't worry. Thank you,
And I have, so I know exactly what to do.
As we reported, Hatchick resigned from the CLTC amid controversy and an investigation by the board after allegations surfaced by a land agent of coercion in altering a land report. The board, however, did not release the findings of their investigation, only finding that he was unsuitable to lead the agency. Senator Brown, in a letter to the speaker, insinuating that the commission is participating in a cover-up and that the people deserve answers. With more news, here is Adriana Cotero.
Hafden, good morning, everyone. I'm Adriana Cotero with your headlines here on The Link. Showing off a united front, leaders from both the administration and the legislature got together at Adelup Tuesday afternoon and said they are in basic agreement over how to spend the millions of dollars in fiscal recovery funding. Governor Lulian Guerrero said it was the first time in her administration that she hosted both the Democratic and Republican caucus and said it was a very productive meeting.
It was a very cooperative. We all decided that it is best to speak in one unified voice as public officials, and so we can really show the people of Guam that in times that are very necessary to work together, we step up to the plate.
We also spoke with Speaker Therese Terlahi and Minority Leader Chris Duenas, who are there to pitch the legislature's priority list.
All of this is an investment in our children and their future, and that our island can really move forward, and we want to take that opportunity. So I think everyone in the room kind of felt good about that agreement that we had all come to. So I'm very much looking forward to the details. They're going to put together a plan like they did for the CARES spending plan and submit that down.
I got to agree with the speaker. It's going to come down to the details in the coming weeks. We are happy that the governor has notified us that the cash will be here soon, maybe in as short time as 5 days. So really, that's when the detail and the work will begin.
It was a closed-door meeting with 14 senators attending. Senator Joanne Brown did not show up in protest of what she called a secret legislative meeting. Congressman Michael San Nicolas also weighed in on the local fiscal recovery funds, calling a news conference to go over the details of the plan as announced by the Treasury.
San Nicolas went through each of the legislature's proposed spending priorities and noted that with the exception of a few, all seem to fit the guidelines. He also believes certain legacy issues, such as fully funding the Chamorro Land Trust, should be among the priorities. San Nicolas also singled out premium pay for essential lower-income workers.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the essential workers doing what they did. And so that is absolutely something that I believe needs to be recognized and prioritized.
He says they may also be eligible for retrospective premium pay. Vice Speaker Tina Barnes has jumped on the issue. In a news release, she called on the governor to issue premium pay to critical workers. Barnes says it means up to $13 more per hour, up to a total of $25,000 per eligible worker. Meanwhile, the territories will receive $4.5 billion out of the $350 billion, or a little over 1% of local recovery funding. Nicholas says it's more than a fair apportionment for Guam.
If we were to, on a per capita basis, evaluate all of the money that we've received, we actually received a lot more than most states.
Nicholas also discussed several ineligible uses, in particular the funding cannot be used to offset tax cuts. The governor, though, has made it clear that she does not support any reduction of the business privilege tax. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
It's not a cage, but a courtroom. Former UFC fighter John Tuck is fighting allegations of rape. Here's more from opening arguments from day one of his trial. It was in the early morning hours of March 4th, 2020, when former UFC fighter John Tuck allegedly raped a 21-year-old woman behind the Weston Chapel in Tumon. Now he is on trial facing criminal sexual conduct charges. Prosecuting the case, Assistant Attorney General Rochelle Canto tells the jury this is a case about consent that was never given, and described how the victim was on her menstrual cycle and told the defendant multiple times no.
The evidence will show that this is a case where the defendant overpowered a drunk young woman and forcibly raped her.
The victim is originally from the States. She was here on island working as a dancer at Foxy's nightclub. As Canto detailed that after finishing up at work, the victim went across the street to Jardy's restaurant, where she encountered the defendant.
He took her to the Weston Chapel. But they didn't go inside the chapel. He took her around the chapel to the side of the chapel that overlooks the cliff, where nobody could ever hear her scream. And this is where he sexually assaulted her.
Canto states that the victim then ran back into the restaurant and confided with her friend that she was raped. The friend named Coco took a video on her phone confronting the defendant. The video was played back and brought into evidence during the prosecution's case in chief, and prior to this, defense counsel Randy Cunliffe noted the words exchanged in the video during his opening statements.
You will hear Coco accuse John of raping. And you will hear John say, "Did I rape you? Are you saying I raped you?"
Cunliffe depicting the incident not as rape, but rather as consensual sex, and painting the picture that the victim plotted the crime, as he said she had plans to sue Tuck for monetary damages.
On March 3rd, 2020, Mr. Tuck, along with a gentleman by the name of Larry Ogunyogo, who was a NFL player who had come to Guam for some sort of a program, and one of Larry's friends, by the name of Ben, went out in that evening. During the evening, they stopped and took boxes. You will hear testimony that while Jonathan Tuck, Larry O, and his friend were at boxes, Miss saw somebody approach John and ask him for his autograph.
About 30 minutes after the alleged rape, the victim reported the walk-in criminal sexual conduct complaint at the Dedado precinct. The responding officers were the first witnesses to testify. This trial is ongoing. Late yesterday afternoon, the victim had to face her perpetrator as she was brought forward to testify. Tuck's rape trial continues this morning at 9 a.m. More than 16,000 restaurants and other food and beverage businesses have been approved for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. The SBA says this first round of funding amounts to more than $2 billion since the program was launched a week ago. The grant funding should be in bank accounts as early as tomorrow. Some $28.6 billion is available under the RRF. The SBA will continue to fund approved applications until all funds have been exhausted. Guam SBA branch manager Ken Lujan says no local application data is available, but he expects more information will be provided after the initial 21-day period in which women, veterans, and the socially disadvantaged are given priority. The GHRA has been assisting local businesses with their applications. That's news for now. We'll see you all at 6 tonight on Primetime.
In other news, Public Health has launched a system to verify whether you've been vaccinated. With more details, here is Tyler Manzanani.
The governor may have gone back on plans of reopening the island, but that doesn't mean plans on adjusting traveler quarantine protocols have ceased. During the governor's press conference in late April, the proposal was that travelers would be required to produce an additional layer of verification of being vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccine. Public Health PIO Janella Carrera.
The proposal that was laid out during that press conference is that if you are fully vaccinated, we would ask that you also get a verification from your state health department. And so in the case for Guam, it would be through the immunization program here in Guam at Public Health.
The current plan is to have a printout verification signed by a representative at the immunization program and then have it stamped as a true copy. But Carrera says that, like the private clinics, they're also looking at going digital in hopes of making the process as smooth as possible for all travelers.
Whether it's through a QR or other digital format so that travelers won't have to carry around paper when they travel.
Requests for verification of COVID-19 vaccination can be made by booking an appointment with the DPHSS immunization program. To book an appointment, call 735-7143 or send an email to immunizationprogram@dphss.guam.gov. Requests should be submitted 5 to 7 days in advance. Those who were fully vaccinated at one of the enrolled COVID-19 provider clinics or pharmacies may also make a request for verification of their COVID-19 vaccination through their private healthcare provider. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matsanani.
17 million more Americans are now eligible to receive the Pfizer vaccine after the FDA gave an emergency use authorization to begin administering the vaccine to kids aged 12 to 15 years old. Skylar Henry reports.
The FDA has signed off on Pfizer's request to begin vaccinating children ages 12 to 15.
We know that this is a big step for our country, as vaccinating a younger population can bring us closer to a sense of normalcy and to ending this pandemic.
The drug company says clinical trials showed the vaccine is 100% effective, preventing illness in that age group.
We had 0 cases in the vaccine recipients and 18 in those that received placebo.
The shots could be available for young people as soon as a CDC advisory committee completes its review tomorrow. States will be able to get middle school students vaccinated before the fall.
I have a 16-year-old myself, and I can tell you he wanted to get the vaccine. He wants his life back. These kids want to go back to school. They want to go back to the things they love.
But parents may not be rushing to sign their children up for the shots. A recent survey showed only 29% of parents are ready for their kids to get vaccinated, while nearly 1 in 5 say they will definitely not let their children get the vaccine. The U.S. is seeing adult vaccination rates fall as well. President Biden is speaking with some governors today to discuss what they are doing to get more of their state's residents vaccinated.
The long-term fate of many of our communities depends on getting people vaccinated.
About 25% of American adults say they will not get a vaccine, with the number one reason being they want to wait to see if it's safe. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Meanwhile, the Joint Information Center reports that out of 360 test samples taken Monday, 1 came back positive COVID-19. The case reported recent travel history and was identified in quarantine. This brings the total of officially reported cases of COVID to 8,044 since March of last year. 139 deaths, 88 cases are active. There have been more than 7,800 recoveries. 5 people are hospitalized, with 1 in the ICU and 1 on a ventilator. The CAR score is 0.8. As far as vaccination numbers, a total of 71,115 island residents are fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, the Guam Department of Education and Public Health are hosting Vaccinate Before You Graduate. That is scheduled for Monday, May 24th from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 in the afternoon at JFK's gym. Although geared towards seniors who will soon be receiving their diplomas, all eligible students and people in the community may avail themselves of the vaccination clinic. And with your Chamorro News, here is Kim Concepcion.
Buenos days to get sunto bikunot sa morgan ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familia Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank. Pero mafatta yung espiritu ni nafa mulik manaligi sa adalupi man magasin administrasyon sa ni legislatura gi matis da masangan na manakonformasiya ni tumano pero magasta pun midzon siyan sa lapi para fiscal recovery. Imagahagal Julian Guerrero asangan na estifinin na nabiyahi administrasyon niya na mentuto dito sa partida ay Democratic and Republican na caucus disinfect sa zanggay produkto humuzong niya. Asangan naman sena famalik siya, zama disidi na mas maling no fan unikuha na boss. Sa siya opisyal di publiko, zo mafanui taw guan nagi tempo ni mas nesesita no fandan niya man matsotso, manasi niya. Di mababay peta para publiko gini nambiting sa 14 na senador sa man matuwatu. Di anok si Senadora Joanne Brown sa pudi man protesta na sekretos ti nambiting i legislatura. Di mas, Food and Drug Administration sa maamenta mas yaturudat niya para ni nasa ben emergency para mausay COVID-19 na binakuna gini ni Pfizer na kompanya para 12 anyos na obensitu siya. Azo na desisyon sa manananggan na na preba ni Centers for Disease Control Advisory Committee paguna diya. Sigon ni FDA clinical trials ni Pfizer masoda na 100% inefektibo para uatahay COVID-19 gidosi estay kinsi anyos na idat famaguon. Deklaro tabiya ko'y public health guni gizagwahan umatsogi pareho za umaribay na dat kunalifika para Pfizer na binakuna dadagin maapreba ni CDC. Gyotro suntu, mahutsam investigasyon ni Guam Police Department na definin na finitang traffic para bago nasakan. I-highway patrol sa matutun maimbestiga at zo gidyat sa si Febrero. Anay si Francis Quintin, 23 anyos na edad, tinapin ni kareta ni Krokusay Kasadang Route 10 giza Mangilaw, za mata gidespues. Sigon ni toxicology na report, masoda at kahot gisisteman Quintin. Maditimina ni traffic investigators na isaw niya si Quintin na i-crash. Ani Krosay Kasada si ni crosswalk. Taza maresta para ST. Yutumu, maski 16 meet na sagan sumotsu sa norto siya ng business ng kanu ng gimen sa man maapreba para di Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Small Business Administration sa anunsya na ST permit na nasisti sa tutot 2 bilyon pesos desde na mababad sa programa gimapas na semana. Isalapi para ST sa para man natutuhan man ang halong gizon niya business na account gi banko bago na dia. Kasi 28.6 bilyon pesos guha para ST na programa ng RRF. SBA sa para makontinue man preba hasta kihoko kisalapi. Imaga si SBA guni gizagwahan si Ken Luhan na explica na tal sa informasyon pod aplikasyon guni lo nanangga na sempre mas informasyon managwahan dispatch 21 na diyan na tempo anay famalawan veterano siya janadyaman inconveniente manafanfo naman ma-assisti. Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association sa masisisti business guni siya ni aplikasyon niya. Para Guam News Network, Guam si Kim Concepcion. Yasunto yung finut sa muro sa presenta sa ninafato ni Familia Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
June makes the best malasadas in Hawaii, a fact not lost on Daryl, whose brother Byron is cooking the onaga he caught at his secret fishing spot with his girlfriend Malia, who used to work for the Shave Ice Guy, whose second cousin Vince drives the school bus ridden by Calais, whose auntie makes the best malasadas in Hawaii. Everything here is connected, and with the new First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, you can stay just as connected to your finances, and it all starts with yes.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time each Friday to talk food, taste food, and bring you all the latest and greatest in food from King's Restaurants and Ruby Tuesday Guam, old faves, new hits, and everything on the menu in between. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link. Uno Go, delivering meals from your favorite restaurants and more, including delivering sodas and adult beverages from the Bottle Shack. Visit uno-go.com or download the app today. Also follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Get Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC.
Ekangok ega dyan edza kifinut sa moro giasuntun sa moro kada dia gi KUAM News. Gatsa gi idaling na programa gi alas 8 gi egaan gi esla sa moro streaming radio peri KUAM News YouTube na channel para linabian ng fasilidad mizu. Malata fanita para mas informasyon mentos sa dilihensya isang presyosa na kulturata and chi sesultan na setbi kada dia ilingwahin natibo ni Itzamoro. Iasunto gifinut sa moro sa nina fafatu dan pinalinunudzi ni familia mizu gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Chris and Sabrina with The Link. Here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Jogarito. Good night and corazonu. Good morning, 828. This is The Link. East West Rental, Cabo Enterprises, ITD, and Jack in the Box. Our friends at Jack in the Box coming through. My treat for breakfast, guys. I got this. Okay? Consider it your premium pay. Hi, Bree.
Hi.
Sabrina Salas Mantanani sitting by in home quarantine. Jason Salas, of course.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Looking forward to that breakfast.
Yeah, you got it, man. Just want to give back a little bit, you know.
Oh, wait. Have we even enlightened Bree into what our breakfast plans were for when she came back? Remember, we were doing milkshakes for breakfast.
Yeah, Bree.
The first day you come back, Bree, we're doing milkshakes for breakfast.
Nah, she can because she's on this weight loss challenge we're doing at KUAM. See, she don't look
If it's like a kale shake, maybe.
I actually had a kale smoothie yesterday. It's not bad, not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
8:28. Let's go ahead and play this clip here because the governor, like every other word out of everybody that we interviewed yesterday, was the collaboration. That, you know what I mean. This was kind of the governor had said that it was an awakening for her. This sit down, this closed door sit down that they had yesterday at Adelup. So no, she did. I'm not even making it up. So I asked her, I said, so what was it? Was there like an aha moment that you had where you, because, you know, last year it was contentious. I mean, the senators were like passing laws because this administration wasn't transparent, right? They passed whole ass laws because this administration was not being transparent. Let us not forget. And so I asked the governor, so what was the big deal? Like, what made you change? Now you want to, you know, everyone's going to be included, all hands on deck type of deal. And this was her response from yesterday at Adelup.
Part of that, Chris, was just uncertainties, you know, in the beginning of the pandemic. I didn't know if we were going to lose thousands of people or we were only going to lose 3. So that uncertainty, of course, was very stressful for both the legislature and, of course, administration. and working very hard, to try and meet that uncertainty as much as we can, so we can save the lives of the people, I think was pretty stressful. And the fact that, I exerted my authority under the Organic Act was a little bit maybe, I don't want to say strange, but a little bit different maybe for the legislature, that they didn't have any kind of experience previously for that. My aha moment really is the fact that we have now are containing. We've had the UK variant out, and I think it's out in the community, and we continue to maintain our numbers, and we continue to provide. My aha moment also, Chris, is the vaccination. I felt like by vaccinating our people, we are getting herd immunity, and we are then protecting and minimizing transmission and exposure to the people. So if you ask me how I feel right now, I feel a little bit very confident. I feel very comforted. I feel very sure. The uncertainties have now becoming more the clarity of where we're going. Yeah.
I spoke to the Speaker of the Minority.
All right. There you go. That was the Governor of Guam, Governor Lilian Guerrero. How is she feeling? Very much a little bit confident. Senator Tello Taitigui now joins. All the senators have been put out cast a wide net. I asked the Vice Speaker to come on. I put out an ask to Senator Rangel. Of course, we had the Speaker, Minority Leader on yesterday. We had Senator Moylan on this morning. Just kind of playing gushathon this morning. Senator Tello Taitigui joining us now. So spill, girl, spill. What happened?
Always happy to be here this morning. Alpha Day, Chris, Sabrina, and Jason, and the KUAM family, and those listening this morning.
Right. I know the slogan is usually "Tell it to Tello," but we're hoping Tello will tell it to us this morning.
Yeah. So true. Well, I yesterday on the show, I came on the show very enthusiastic and excited about getting together and finally, hashing this out. I showed up to that meeting with a calculator in one hand, and I brought my snacks, like you said, extra drinks, ready to roll. I had my whole binder, and then when I was sitting there, I was looking around and like, why doesn't anybody else have like documents or paperwork like I did? I had everything ready to go. And when I started listening to the governor's, her opening remarks, and the lieutenant governor is gracious as always. I really like that guy, I have to tell you. But after she was done, she only allowed the speaker and the minority leader to speak. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, okay, wait a minute. Are we going to go down the line? Are we going to start with, section 1 of our wish list and go down the list? Oh, that's Sabrina's dog.
Sorry, that's my dog. I'm sorry.
Bree.
No worries. It's hungry.
We don't know. Is the dog agreeing with Senator Tello or disagreeing, Bree?
No, he's jumping in and saying, yeah, that's right. That's right.
What kind of snacks did you bring?
You tell it, Tello. You tell it, Tello. But I was just, and then after, our minority leader spoke, who was the last one to speak, I was like, okay, let's get to work now. Let's decide, where this money is going to go to. You brought us to the table, or at least show us your wish list, Governor. We came with ours, and then I took the benefit of the doubt and said, okay, well, maybe we all found out now it's only going to be 553 in the next 4 days. And then later on, we're going to have additional funding, which will take it up to a total of $603 million. So maybe we need a little bit more time. But I came to the table with, okay, where are we going to make these cuts? We maintain section 1 and 2 of our letter and take 23% across the board to reach that 553. I was just ready to go. And it was ironic because I don't see why the media should not have been there. They could have at least been in the room, maybe not participate to ask questions or things like that. but at least be able to film this. And I think that if the media was there, then that room would not have been so deafening. I mean, the only people who are asking questions, I think Senator Ada had asked one question. Senator Frank asked a couple questions. Sabina asked a question. Of course, the speaker, I think I asked like 6 different questions. You know, how long will we have to spend this money? Are you planning on saving any, putting some of the money away for the other fiscal years, which brought up a very interesting information that they did the math and said that within the 3 years, they predict that there's going to be a revenue shortfall of $390 million in the next 3 years. So that's $390 million. That's what they predicted. So on top of that, I mean, that's more than half of what we're going to get in ARC money. I was just, I was disappointed that we didn't, roll up our sleeves and start working on what we're going to do. I mean, everybody, I hope I think the intention of everybody is to make sure that this money is spent wisely. And like Senator Sabina Paris said, that procurement is followed, the procedures on procurement. And that was the one thing that Senator Sabina had brought up. But unfortunately, we didn't do that. In fact, we didn't even see her wish list. We showed her ours.
She didn't show you hers.
She needs to show us hers.
But did she say though that she was going to be providing one?
It was kind of cloudy on what the next step was. Nobody even brought up what the next step was, other than for her to say, okay, you can now meet with Senator San Augustine, at OFB to touch base with him. It's like, okay, we're done here. So at the end of the meeting, I went up to the governor to ask her, well, Governor, when do you plan on putting your list together so that we can see? Oh, well, we'll do it very soon. We'll do it very soon. So it would have been so much easier too if the media was there in the room, I have to admit, because then you're not going to get, secondhand information. You're going to hear from us, and you had that press release with the governor. I mean, what was really said in between, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I'm still optimistic. We know that ultimately she has the authority on spending this funding, which money that belongs to the people of Guam. I'm going to keep pushing and advocating for certain projects, myself. But yeah, we did go a little bit longer than an hour, so.
Yeah, you did.
Just a tad.
Yeah. So you thought it was
Senator Moylan said that it could have just been 30 minutes because there wasn't really a lot of, what did he say, meat?
Yeah. It was a vegan meeting.
He should ask some questions, he should have asked some questions. He was very vocal about the RISE Act, which was, yesterday on air. And I was hoping that he would bring that up and try to get out of her, what is her plan for the RISE Act funding, or funding for the RISE Act. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard a little bit about how she wants to expand it. But that was in the media. I didn't really catch on in the meeting of how she is going to do that expansion, as she's going to increase the funding. Like I said, a lot of people were very quiet in the meeting. They didn't ask the questions. I kind of felt, out of place because I kept jumping up with all these questions. And so, it sounds to me like, Sabrina and Chris, that this probably that's the end of it. We're done. Okay, this is our collaboration, it's over. Mm-hmm. But the important part that needs to be calculated in the whole perspective is the budget and this RF funding meshing together. We have to come up with a budget. We need that list where the governor is going to spend so that we know how to move forward with the FY22 budget. That's really important. So I'm hoping that, I'm being optimistic that that list, her wish list or her final decision will come within the next week. We're already going into June. I mean, this is the part we start listening to budgets, moving forward. But
did Lester Carlson or Mr. Byrne, did they speak at all during the meeting?
Yeah, they talked about the guidelines. They talked about the same thing they spoke to in the press release that was held in the smaller conference room. They talked about the structure of how their next step, when they're going to receive the money, what guidelines they have to follow and submit. And that's about it, when it comes to the funding. Of course, we all know about, in the next 4 days, the 553. I mean, everything that was mentioned in the media was mentioned. Capital improvement funds, I'm very curious to find out how much money. I believe in my notes, if I'm not mistaken, here, we should have about 14 million coming for capital improvement or CPF funding. So this is good. A lot of funding is coming to our island to help and assist, much more than most of the other U.S. states. So I'm really, I'm very grateful for it. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for it. I think that it's important that we find out exactly where this money is going to, but most especially to the people of Guam, which it's intended to, who've lost revenue, who's lost the ability to sustain themselves, to feed their family. That's the most important thing. And when I did my calculations and brought forward, I said that's those two things that should not be eliminated from our wish list, from the legislature's wish list, which is Section 1, for money going directly to the people of Guam to assist them to survive. And everything else after that, we can reduce.
Senator?
So is that something that, go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Bree.
So is that something that the legislature plans to do? Go back and meet again amongst yourselves to kind of find ways to cut down the spending list?
Well, I think the governor, like I said, was kind of foggy on where we're going to move next. The only thing I've gotten direction is go see Senator Joe Augustine at OFB, which was very, I thought we were supposed to work together. So I'm, like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic about this, keeping an eye on the funding, make sure that it's spent correctly, procurement procedures are followed in every aspect of the word, and, move forward on this. But
this is like night and day reaction.
Yeah, Bree, this is the problem with
from what you got yesterday, Chris.
This is like a secret. This is the problem with a secret meeting, is everybody has a different version of what happened, which is why the media should have been present, should have been at the very least able to stream this meeting. I mean, it's just heavy-handed to have it as a closed-door meeting. And, I've heard that some of your colleagues are like, oh, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? But I think the big deal is this is a consistent trend with this administration to not be transparent and to not provide access and, to not really present themselves to be held accountable. I mean, even if it was a fluff meeting, we'd like to have known that for ourselves and, been able to pass it on to the people. I mean, it's just basic. It's basic. I don't, I sound like a broken record, but it's just basic. So, Senator Tello, none of your colleagues said, hey, well, we gave you our plan. Where's this plan that you keep talking about? Because, I mean, every other word was, oh, it aligns with my plan. And, it's very similar to my plan, but yet we ain't seen no plan. No one thought to say, well, can we see your plan?
Yeah, well, it was, I think the meeting was just to say thank you very much for your wish list. And that was it. We like your ideas. They're the same as ours. And like I said, I was there, rolled up my sleeves, ready to go, brought my snacks, brought my calculator, had my calculator ready, to do some work. I just, that it was disappointing, that we did not sit down and just go through each section of it. I was surprised that she wanted to give some money to the airport, which was not part of our wish list, because the airport received quite a bit of funding.
Yeah.
The CARES Act, and she wanted to give some money in that direction. So we could have talked about that. She said there was lost revenue. I think it was about somewhere along the line of about 46 million in lost revenue, which is not surprising, but they also received a grant funding, quite a bit of money. She also talked about Guam solid waste and the utility section of this, saying that she's been in conversation with the utilities, almost alluding to we don't need to give any money to them. And I, didn't elaborate on it.
Saw that coming.
So that was quite interesting.
Guys, what's crucial about this utilities money is the legislature's spending plan for the ARP involved giving the utilities a significant amount of money so that we wouldn't have to pay higher rates for water over the next 3 years. They're doing a 10% increase every year for the next 3 years. And so part of the legislature's priority spend plan was like, hey, let's give Guam Waterworks all these millions of dollars to upgrade stuff so that the ratepayers don't have to foot the bill for it. And I kind of had a feeling that the governor wouldn't really support that. And so you're saying that she had indicated that she doesn't?
Yeah, I was hoping, to discuss the utilities because it's in dire need. We gave a full explanation and justification for the need for that. And to be able to sit and talk about this, was just really hoping that we could have hashed this out. And it was more of a thank you so much, like I said, for your wish list. And I'll continue to be optimistic. Going to Senator San Augustine was not my idea of collaboration because that's on our team. He's on our team. Supposedly, that's the legislative side. We need to work with the administration.
No, he's on their team.
Well, I don't know.
So I don't know.
All right.
Y'all need to be on the people's team.
Yeah.
That's right.
Amen,
absolutely. And be open, transparent about how you're going to spend this money. It's now the door has been closed. We gave our 2 cents and it's going to be closed now. So we just have to be mindful of everything that's going on right now. We've got all the information from U.S. Treasury. We know when the money is coming in. We're going to continue to introduce legislation that brings transparency to the floor, ask the governor to make sure she follows procurement in doing what she plans to do with this funding. But, I plan on looking into other states and how they're collaborating with both branches of government and how they're working together.
Because in the CARES Act,
putting those suggestions through.
In the CARES Act, like Bree had mentioned, right, Bree, we saw a proposed spend plan for the CARES Act funding.
Yeah.
We didn't see anything this time. And Senator, so what did you make? We were able to ask the governor because you guys in your proposal had said, okay, $200 million for the new hospital. The governor has been very firm on $300 million and up. This is kind of, where there's going to be some disagreement, so to speak. So what did you make of that? And did she say like, wow, you guys shorted me $100 million on the hospital?
Well, she didn't say that. I actually brought it up. She didn't talk about it. So in one of my questions I brought up was, Governor, our proposal had 200,000. I mean, for me personally, I would like to see more money put into building a new hospital. I did from day one, right? So I said, I asked her the question, how did she feel about that? And she goes, well, I saw, what you wrote, and basically she said that she, like you said, she wants to maintain that 300,000. And that's when I brought up
300 million?
Yeah.
300 million, sorry.
Yeah.
300 million. And I also brought up the debt ceiling because we're at 395 million, available only for debt ceiling. And according to her calculations, or even the hospital task force, we're looking at $1.06 billion. That's incorporating $100 million for public health, $100 million for behavioral wellness, and then on top of that, then a $50 million for, I guess, inflation and costs, as it's building through any different essentials, on top of the $700 million, plus, I think it's like $700 to $800 million plus for the hospital. How much was that? $817 million for the hospital. So yeah, I brought that question up because it's obvious, other than, the fluff, and you know me, I'm straight to the point kind of girl. Let's cut the fluff and then go straight into the meat of everything and find out what we're going to do. So I guess that's why I was asking all these questions. The hospital was an issue. What about the rainy day? Then everyone's finding out there's 3 years of, there's going to be a shortfall of $390 million in the next 3 years, accumulative. So I'm anxious to see her list, and I hope we have it within the next week. They work on it, and granted, the information that we all received from Treasury, about 553, was a far cry from the 664.
Yeah.
So they're going to have, they're going to have to come up with some way to reduce that amount, or what they plan to cut. Yeah. And like I said, I was ready to cut. I was ready to sit and roll up our sleeves to give the people of Guam an answer to how this money is going to be spent.
Senator, tell us, although you guys did in your spend plan indicate that $200 million would go towards a new hospital, a lot of conversation is not just like having a new hospital, but being able to fill it with the nurses and the doctors. And so there was a couple other items in your spend plan. One of them was for University of Guam to increase scholarship monies for nurses, and also Protect Scholarship for medical people going to medical school. So did the governor comment on that at all? And is that something you're in support of?
Absolutely in support of that when it comes to helping the students, and when it comes to education and providing their tuition. I think she didn't bring anything up about that, but I did talk about that with my staff the other day because of the bill that was passed to allow the University of Guam to actually go into a 30-year lease without legislative approval. And this was something I voted against because of the debt ceiling, but the only mechanism that we have in place to justify that is GITA. They would still have to work with GITA, and GITA would have to approve it. But no, nothing else on the University of Guam. One of my biggest concerns, and granted, I was asking probably about 6 questions while everybody, those who did, the very few that asked questions had like 1, so I felt like out of place. One of the things I wanted to bring up is there any funding that they're going to use to increase salaries or hire additional staff with this money? And that was the one thing that I discussed with the caucus as well as the speaker when we were formulating our wish list, that none of this funding is going to be used for personnel with regards to salary increases or new hires. This money should be strictly for the people and to help them recover. I mean, hence the word recover, and rescue, as well as what is it? No additional hires and no additional salary increases. Yeah, that was the one thing that I should have brought up and I forgot to bring up to ensure that that doesn't happen. But, I know that Congressman Nicholas was had a press release. I didn't get a chance to see all of it, just snips of his perspective on what cannot be used for this ARP money. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting, but it was never mentioned about the university part. So I wonder if we can still utilize that for the university. But it does go to the students, the people of Guam. I don't see why it should not be included.
All right. Well, Bree, anything else?
Wow, sounds like maybe you should have just joined Senator Joanne Brown and just kind of skipped out. I mean,
with your snacks.
No, I totally respect what he was doing. You know, I really, and I have to tell you, I was there to roll up my sleeves, but I had no intentions of keeping. I took notes to tell, you know, the media if they ever asked what happened, what went on. I mean, nothing in there is to me is private. I will speak on it and tell you what happened.
Well,
so
thank you.
I mean, we all need to try and work together. That's true. I mean, the intention is to do that.
I guess it
so
depends
she didn't
on
really miss much?
No. In fact, I gave her a rundown. Tried to give her a rundown as much as I could. Today I'll meet with her and tell her everything that, you know, Senator Brown, what went on during the meeting, which, yes, she didn't miss very much. Definitely did not have a list from the governor's office to tell us what their wish list was. I mean, that was, I think we were all anticipating that. I think we all were, at least on the Republican side. We were like anticipating, okay, tell us, what exactly are you going to spend?
You thought there were going to be printouts that were passed out, little folders, right? Yeah.
Yeah, nothing. And the only thing that I came away with for sure was that still she's going to maintain that $300 million for the hospital. And other than that, that was it. You know, nothing else. So we just need to keep an eye on this, continue to monitor the fundings that's coming in, because it's very important as we head into the budget time.
Right.
Well,
starts
if
Monday.
you guys meet again, let us know.
Yeah, please give us a heads up.
I will request that the media be involved and come in the next time, you know, this happens, because there was no need. It's a waste of time to have you know, have another separate meeting on the other side. You could have been there. There was no reason why you could not have. There was nothing secret. But it was just a thought, you know, that having it transparent is very important. So
basic.
And I respect Senator Brown for what she did.
Okay, Senator. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes,
Thanks, Senator.
Right on.
Create a great day, everyone.
Got it. Let's go ahead and play this clip here as we're getting ready to bring on Senator Joanne Brown, whose ears have probably been burning since yesterday afternoon. But we're going to play this clip where I'd asked the governor to respond to Senator Brown's press release that said she wasn't going to be attending what she called the secret meeting because it was illegal. And here was the governor's response.
It was not a secret meeting. You know, we send out the letters. The media knew about it. We invited the media. We're now giving you information that we have discussed there. So I totally disagree with Senator Joanne Brown. I think this is just a way of trying to stir something up that's not there. And I'll tell you, if she was there, she would have appreciated the cooperation and the unification attitude of our public officials. I was just, I mean, it's an awakening for me. You know, this is how we should be working together. So it was not a secret. If it was a secret, I'd hold it down in my Inarahan beach. But it's not. It's a public chamber area. You guys were right outside, and so forth. So I don't know why she felt that way, but it.
All right. Well, there you go. The governor. It was a public chamber area. Senator Joanne, good morning.
Day. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Good to see you, Sabrina.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep it together.
Safe trip. Yeah, no problem. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, there was a meeting yesterday.
Yeah, I guess.
But don't tell anyone it was.
You're getting so many different versions of the same meeting, right?
It was a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's just go. We'll start with your release, calling this a meeting a secret meeting. You didn't go. Governor wasn't so happy about it. Just your response, I guess, to the governor's comments and just to the meeting in general and your
Okay.
issues with it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Senator.
It sounds like you didn't miss much, according to Tello.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound. I'm sure she'll touch base with me later today and update me. It doesn't sound like it, but unfortunately.
What did you make of the governor's response to you calling it a secret meeting?
What can you say? I mean, there's no other way to define it. I don't think it would have been problematic had they just allowed. I mean, of course, you can't have everyone in the public, but if you had media reps, even just to sit and observe, and then of course afterwards, I saw that there was interviews. They said it could have simply done that, and it wouldn't have been a problem. It would have been disruptive to the, to the discussion, especially if it doesn't sound like they actually rolled up their sleeves and really got into any real discussion about the details of how to spend the funding. That wouldn't have been a problem.
Right. So, I mean, what did you make of her argument, though? Because in your press release, you were very specific and you brought the receipts. You cited the laws that, said.
Right.
Basically, go ahead.
Well, and for the legislature, I mean, they, except for caucus meetings, which is allowed under the law, we're really not allowed, especially when you have a quorum or more present, to be in a meeting. I mean, we put the same requirements on boards and commissions and everybody else. And I don't know. I mean, even in the invitation we originally received on the 3rd of May, it never indicated it was going to be a closed door meeting. Aside from hearing the media reports and then even checking up till before the meeting, I was looking to see if they were going to open it because I could easily run over there because I'm just here in Agania, but it didn't happen. So I just thought, well, I'll just pass on that particular meeting. So I'm not a part of it because my whole objective of being here is to, put more light on the government and our operations. Because I think it's been a problem. Not having that is what allows these, ulterior agendas to be put in place.
Just to give you guys a little backstory. So you're right. In the letters that went from the governor to the senators back and forth, there was no indication that it was going to be a closed door meeting until we asked, because we were making plans to stream it. And we were told it was a closed door meeting and that the governor would be made available afterwards to answer questions, which is, what happened. But I just don't, how did 14 of your colleagues not agree with you and show up at this meeting?
Well, they may have had good intentions. I think a lot of people have good intentions, but I mean, the law is pretty clear. And I don't see any reason why. I mean, we were very public. I mean, I did sign off on the speaker's letter collectively with the 14 other members of the legislature to support these priorities. I mean, of course, individually, we might have other areas like I'd like to see more in the environmental, but nevertheless, we were able to get a consensus of, the entire legislature to agree on these priorities for spending. So no issue there. But with regards to entering that meeting, I don't know why none of them questioned as to why, if they didn't, I don't know. I wasn't in the meeting, but I don't know why any of them didn't question why it was not a public meeting or why it was closed. I don't know the justification as to why there was a need for this so-called historic meeting to be closed from the public, which is really what it came down to.
Well, that being said, I mean, what's the remedy?
Well, the remedies, you don't have these type of closed door meetings. There's no need for it. There's no reason for it. And under the law, it shouldn't have happened. I mean, Chris, when I ran again for the legislature after all these years, I mean, my objective and my focus was to ensure that our government was more open, that our government was more transparent, and more importantly, to put an end to corruption. And when you have these type of meetings, and while people may argue, oh, it didn't happen in this particular case, well, we don't know that. That's more the reason why things should be open. We hear a lot of, oh, we're all transparent and aren't we wonderful? But in reality, that's not the actual practice. And when you're talking about this unprecedented amount of federal money that, no leaders in the past history of the government of Guam have ever had this amount of money outside of the regular budget that, of course, there's many commitments to, set aside to operate the government. There are no other set of leaders elected by the people of Guam that have ever had this much money on the table at a single time to be able to address how do we spend it, of course, according to the guidelines. And considering that, why aren't we being public about that? It makes you wonder, where are the side conversations that's already predetermined? Oh, I'm going to fund this, I'm going to pay for this, and I'm not going to pay for that. And, you have different colleagues coming out championing their issues and great, hey, the governor's supporting my issue. But, with all of this, we still haven't seen from the administration their plan. I haven't seen anything in black and white that says, hey, these are our priorities that we're outlining for you, as the legislature did with the letter that Speaker Terlahi signed on our behalf, listing out, these are the following key areas of concern that we would like to fund. We've not seen a similar listing from the administration other than to hear again through the media that, it's similar to her plan, but we've never seen her plan. We've never seen the administration's plan put in black and white in writing so that we actually can see it and know what it is. And more importantly than us, because, it's not about us. I mean, it's nice to feel important and exclusive and boy, we haven't a special seat at the table here. But, we're not here for our own sake. It's really for the public to know ultimately what those priorities are and do they agree with them? Do they support them? Is that what they want to see? But we're never going to know that if we don't really know what those priorities are. And we haven't seen it, we haven't heard it, we certainly haven't read it in writing.
Yeah, I feel like an idiot because the governor kept referencing how much the legislature's plan aligned with her plan, and I didn't think to say like, oh, can I get your plan? You know what I mean? Because they keep referencing. It reminds me a little bit of this new hospital stuff. It was like all of a sudden the governor popped up and said, I want $330 million for a new hospital. And then in interviewing Lillian, it was clear that there was already a lot of traction for this, which we didn't see anything about publicly. Right? So, I mean, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of that closed door.
Well, and more the reason, again, these discussions could have happened in public. There's no reason senators could have not commented back and forth with the governor for the governor to relay and say what she has to say in a meeting that should have been public. I mean, I didn't know until yesterday because I had originally committed. I was prepared to attend the meeting yesterday afternoon, but as the day went on, I thought, okay, someone's going to raise this or everybody should know. This is, I don't want to feel like I'm the little kid in the class saying, hey, everybody, you're not following the rules, That's something you have an expectation, at least with regards to all this transparency everyone's talking about, that should have been standard. So I was hopeful up until, the meeting started that, that ban would be removed and the meeting would have been opened, at least even if it's one rep from each media person. We do the same thing with boards and commission hearings, do the same thing with debate on the legislative floor. So I don't see there's any reason why that meeting should have been closed. So as a meeting, I heard, hey, it's still closed. And I said, well, okay, then I'm going to have to skip that meeting because that's pretty much against my whole agenda of why I've chosen to run again and fortunate enough for the people after all these years to put me back in office. This is the very thing that I'm very much against. That's why I'm introducing legislation to expand public awareness and public engagement in what the government is doing. Even in the legislature, I see there's only a couple senators here that even publish, which is required under the law, publish the hearing notices so people know what bills and resolutions are put up for public hearing. Many of them just issue, I'm sure you're a recipient of them, because a 5-day and 2-day public notice was something I put in law many years ago. Mm-hmm. They're just issuing press releases. But there's nothing aside, it's on the legislative website, but not everybody, has access to a computer or is going to look up on the website. But before, the most basic requirements to make sure it was published in a paper so that people could, you could pick it up, you could look at it, you could put it down, you could pick it up again and look at the bill number and say, oh, this bill's of interest to me. I want to provide a comment or be aware of it, even if they don't want to respond. Just be aware of that this is happening. And I've seen the erosion of that in the time I've been away from the legislature. Maybe because they don't want to spend the funds to publish the notice. I mean, even for the court, that's one of the most basic things they do when they send out a notice that has legal implications. I'm sure they send separate notices and certified letters to respected parties, but they also publish it in the paper so that there's a means of a formal notice to the public. And I'm not seeing that happen consistently now. And so I even sometimes hear as a senator, I'll know 2 or 3 days that, before a hearing is happening, where I should have known, last week so that I could look at my schedule. And I try when I can very much so to attend as much hearings as I can. But even as a member of the legislature, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was planned for tomorrow because I had, scheduled another meeting. And then you end up finding, oh, there's a public hearing. That is not how it should be, especially when decisions are being made that affect our people. They should be aware of it. If they choose to engage, that's their free choice to do so. If they choose not to, that's also their choice. But they, by all means, should be informed and be aware, and we should be making every effort to do that.
Right. We're going to move on here.
I bet it would have been a very different meeting if you had attended.
Well, and I mean, I'm not there to be an obstructionist. I think we all know the challenges. I mean, we're hoping we're at the tail end of this whole pandemic and that, better things are ahead for our people. That's what we're all hoping for and wanting to see. But we can't go with this shroud that we're covering over the government, or this sense of selective exclusivity that, oh, I get to sit at the table and nobody else gets to know what we're talking about. That just isn't how our government is set up. It's like that whole issue that I brought up with regards to the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. You've had efforts by different commission members. Of course, the recent chairman, Pika Farron, tried to make those changes while she was there. But as you see, leadership changes. Instead of having a standard way of ensuring things are operating, it changes with the people that are there. And that's really not how things should be. In the case of the former administrative director, while he stepped down or resigned and now he's back, is at Adelup, that doesn't change the issue as to whether or not there are additional documents that were falsified. We don't know that. All I know is we have a land agent that raised the concern that her report and her presentation to the commission was altered by the former administrative director in one particular case. But we don't know if there are other cases. And I can only speculate that the land agents specifically individually have, put together their own report that they would have submitted, that because each of these reports have their initials at the bottom of each page indicating, and I'm assuming when I'm reading it, that it's this specific land agent that wrote this report. And yet when I requested that information of the current chairman, Mr. Regis, I mean, he came back and told me that these reports are edited and there's only one set of reports. Yeah. And so when you have things like that happening that make you question, especially as we all know over the years with the Chamorro Land Trust, that there's such abuse that has happened, misuse of the trust, people, getting ahead of line, political favors, individual families that oh my goodness, they're able to cherry pick which properties they want that's adjacent to their own family land. You're like, wow, how did that happen? Or do I get the nice, ocean view of, Barragata Heights? We all are aware of that. And I think we're all, mutually should be disappointed and disgusted with that sort of thing. We want things to be clean and move forward so that the rightful recipients of this property, are properly getting the property, and that we're not seeing this misuse and abuse of public resources that were not intended for that purpose. And so that's the reason, I also asked the speaker to hold an oversight hearing, bring these issues to light. Let's ask these land agents and the other people engaged in this process to answer these questions. If it's all good and it was one isolated case and hey, okay, let's correct it and move on. But I don't believe that, and I don't think we're gonna get answers to it until we're in an open public forum asking those questions, and anybody and everybody who wants to see and listen in can do so and come to their own determination of what they believe has occurred or what has been said. So I mean that's just a classic example, but it's the most recent example of these concerns of these things being put in behind closed doors, or leadership allowing things to, even bad things to try to just make it disappear and hope that people forget about it, and let's focus on something else.
We're going to focus on this clip from the press conference yesterday where Bill from the Post had asked the governor first if she had a replacement for Hattig at the Chamorro Land Trust in mind, and then also asked the governor to kind of describe what Jack Hattig will be doing up at Adelup.
I do.
And can you describe maybe some of the duties of Mr. Hattig as a special assistant for Adelup?
Sure. As I start reopening and start, bringing more revitalization and better services, we're going to be doing a lot of projects. So there's the hospital project, there's the public health laboratory projects, there's the fisherman co-op project, there's the prison project, all these, right? So I want Jack to be my assistant in, just going through all these programs, projects, task force meetings and all that, and reporting straight to me what he thinks the progress is. Hey, Governor, the health task force met, they're meeting regularly, they're meeting every week. Wow, I'm really seeing good progress, things like that. Hey, the fishermen co-op, the coastline hasn't been fixed yet. Okay, Jack, let's call, Guido.
So overseeing some of these major CIPs.
They're like he's going to be like my project manager kind of thing.
Does he have the experience for that?
He has had some experience, yes.
I will help him, don't worry.
Thank you. And I have, so I know exactly what to do.
It was funny at the time in the context of it, but so I don't get it. Does he like keep track of meetings, or is he a building inspector? And as a high school teacher who had also been in the Guard, I'm not even sure what experience he has in supervising these big, I mean, it's not even the little projects, guys. It's the big projects, the big CIP projects.
I think we should all be so lucky to have a $70,000 safety net job. Most people don't even have the $70,000 a year job to begin with. So, I mean, that's up to the governor. At the end of the day, she's got to account for her actions and what she's doing and how that appears. I mean, we're kind of raised with the idea that you learn, and not everybody's perfect. We're all going to make mistakes, and you correct them. But when you have some serious mistakes that are made in your official capacity that you're actively involved in and engaged with, you would think that the response would be, we should hold these individuals responsible and remove them. You don't reward them with another job. But that's, I guess, how this has been. I mean, the governor's been fairly consistent on her appointees, even if they've made some really grave mistakes intentionally and otherwise. She'll continue to say, I support them, I stand behind them, and they're not at that particular position, they're given something else. I don't know. I never felt I'd ever had that comfort. I've only worked for 2 administrations in my life, and I've never felt that either governor with Governor Atta or Governor Calvo, who, while I've known and worked with him for many years, I think if I ever made those type of major mistakes or intentional actions to misuse my position or authority to which they have granted me temporarily to serve them in their administrations, I never thought that I'd have that luxury. I thought I'd be packing my bags.
I mean,
but fortunately, that's never been my agenda. And fortunately, I've never been terminated from a position because of any type of activity like that.
I mean, to be fair, I think in the name of transparency, right, we don't know if there were other instances, even though we've heard that there were. But I think that they should just lift the veil off this whole Chamorro Land Trust thing, whatever was discussed in executive session. I mean, let it out. But we got to run. But have you had any conversation with Speaker Theresa Lahi about whether or not she will hold an oversight hearing with the Chamorro Land Trust?
I haven't had a chance to see her in the last couple of days to ask her, but yes, I will follow up, and our paths will cross. And I will ask her that, because I totally agree with you. Let's lift the shroud that we cover the government with, particularly in this case, because I genuinely don't know. Are there any other documents? But I truly believe that there are original staff agent reports on each of these cases that these agents generated. And I believe those documents exist. And for the fact of the land trust chairman not to provide that and say, oh, these are edited and then we only have one set, I don't believe that. And I think until we get to the bottom of that in open dialogue and engagement, and also to directly ask these land agents, do their reports exist? If there's nothing at the end of the day, then I think we're happy with that and we can move on. But if there have been other things on the official record that have been altered, that are not really representative of those agents, then we need to know that. And we need to know, are there any other cases where there might have been improper transfer of lands that should not have happened in the first place? Because like in the case that was brought up, you had an individual, a husband that for whatever reason was not eligible to have acquired land trust property and was trying to transfer that to his spouse. Are there other cases of that? Are there other cover-ups that have happened? Because we've heard also, even with land agents in the past at Chamorro Land Trust, where they make sure their familia gets some of the prime property, the beachfront property. And I know, because I actually, for a period of time when I was up at the University of Guam, we worked in a formal agreement with the university and the Chamorro Land Trust to actually assist them with regards to the agricultural land lease. So I've actually sat down many hours and many days looking through land trusts and addressing compliance on a formal report that was provided to the Land Trust Commission. So, these are the kind of questions that need to be asked. They need answers. And in order to move forward, I think we need to clean the slate and address these corrections properly. And I don't think there's any other way that can happen other than bringing these issues to light. Because the governor has chosen not to do it. She never responded to my letter, not even to tell me to go, jump in a lake or something. She never responded at all. So if she's not going to respond to do anything to correct these issues or make sure that the issues are corrected and review it and investigate it, then by all means, I think the legislature has the responsibility to the families and recipients and the rightful recipients of the land trust to do so.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank
All
you.
right, it's always good to talk to you. Good to see you, Sabrina.
Yep.
Welcome home. Glad
Thanks.
you're safe.
Senator
All right,
Tello
take
saved
care.
you some
Bye-bye.
snacks. Check her out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's keep it going here in the KUAM News Zoom room, where we're going to bring on Democrat Senator Clint Rigel, who was also in attendance at the meeting yesterday. We'll bring him on. Good morning, Senator.
Hi.
His audio's connecting. Hang on, guys.
There you go.
Right. Well, thanks for joining us, Senator. Really just kind of because it was a closed-door meeting and we weren't privy to what went on in it. We're trying to piece together all the information, and it's really interesting to get so many different perspectives from one meeting. But what was yours? What was your perspective on this meeting?
There was a good meeting. I mean, there really wasn't much discussed as far as details are concerned. It was really seemed primarily like a meeting it seemed like the governor just wanted to meet with us face to face and tell us that she received our priorities for spending of what we would like to see spent, and to tell us that she largely agreed with most of what we had and that we're sort of on the same page, and we seem to have a lot of the same priorities. That's really all that was discussed in the meeting.
Were you expecting more? Were you expecting more?
No, I actually wasn't.
Are you anticipating the governor to submit what her priorities are, her plan?
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that they're going to have to submit eventually. I mean, part of it is, part of this ARP money is available for to make up for lost revenues, right? So any shortfalls in government revenues due to the pandemic is available for that. But there's a formula that has to be followed. It was just released actually, I think yesterday. U.S. Department of Treasury released their interim final rule, whatever that means, but they basically released some guidance on it. There's some FAQ sheets on it as well. And I did look at those, and in it, they explained that there's a formula involved with determining how you can utilize that money for lost revenues. Basically, you have to justify that this is lost revenue, and there's a formula for that. So they're going to have to do that anyway in order to submit it to the federal government to get approval, and they're going to have to submit their spending plan to the federal government for approval anyway. So then I'm sure they'll make it public at the same time. My understanding is that it seems like they're still finalizing things, especially because the guidance just that was released. I believe it was released yesterday. I think they're probably going to have to change a lot of things. I know the governor said in the meeting yesterday that she still wanted to use $300 million for construction of a hospital. Now, in my simple, plain, quick reading of sort of some of the guidance there, I don't know if you can use that money for the construction of a new hospital. So I still think there's a lot of things. Maybe you can, but my point is I still think there's a lot of things that need to be reviewed by the administration to see what the money can actually be used for before they can really move forward with a full plan. And because the guidance just came out yesterday, they're still going to have to review all of the guidance and make sure that they're making their plan based on what's allowable according to the guidance that's been released so far.
Right. And, Congressman Nicholas, he did hold that press conference right before the 2:30 meeting, and he was talking about the guidance and kind of walking everybody, all the media through it and the public, and what the money can be used for, what it can't be. And he did say, like, with specifically for the hospital, he said that he could see it fitting in to the guidelines to get this new hospital going. There were other things that he didn't see could be used, like for the funding for a Guam Ethics Commission. He said that's probably going to be a hard sell to get the ARP money. Did you get a chance to watch that press conference at all?
No, I didn't watch the press conference, but I did review some of the guidance that came out on on the U.S. Treasury's website. So they've got their interim final rule on their website, and they've got some FAQ sheets and some other things that I was able to look at.
So based on your review of the U.S. Treasury guidelines, did you see anything in there in comparison to the legislature's priorities, your plan, that might not fit into the guidelines, that might have to be cut?
Well, like I said, I was not too sure about the hospital part. Now, it's not specifically in our thing, but we left, what was it, like 100, 200 million over sort of for the governor to use for the hospital. So that's one thing that's in question. And yeah, I'm not sure. There's a lot of different things. I mean, it's a big plan that we put out as well. So I kind of have to go over the list again and really look at it. Nothing jumped out at me right away. It's just in reading the stuff from the U.S. Treasury, it just dawned on me like there might be some stuff in here that we might not be able to pay for with what we think we can use it for. Because a lot of it, okay, so, you know, if there's some talk about using some of the funding for GPA, for example, the governor's kind of talked about that as well. I'm not sure if it can be used for power infrastructure yet, because it seems like what I read in the U.S. Treasury's thing, it seems like it's more meant for water and sewer infrastructure, which we have in our plan. I think I forget how many million because we changed it a bit, but we have a pretty large chunk to sewer and water infrastructure, which is clearly allowable according to the guidelines from the U.S. Department of Treasury. It doesn't seem like, based on my quick reading of it, didn't seem like power was really something you can use it for. And I think that's because, you know, we got to remember here that President Biden is talking about, he's got a whole infrastructure bill that he's working on it's going to be coming down soon, that they'll be debating in the mainland. And, you know, so we'll have to wait and see what comes out of that. But Biden has said he wants a real aggressive infrastructural improvement plan, and he wants to change the power grids in the U.S. towards renewable energy, which I think that's great. So I'm hoping that'll give us some funding here on Guam we can use for switching to renewables. And so, yeah, I think that's why they probably focused more on water infrastructure in the ARP.
Senator,
Clint, as a former member, did you want to say something else on this?
Go ahead. No.
Okay, yeah. As a former member of the media, what is your reaction to this whole debate on why was this meeting even closed? It should have been an open meeting. The public should have been allowed to watch it, to view it. Where do you stand?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm used to standing outside the door of these meetings like Chris was yesterday. So when I saw him, I know exactly how it feels. I stood outside the door of many a closed door meeting over my career. So it wasn't my decision to keep a closed door. If it were up to me, I would have allowed the media in. So, I mean, I'm not the one who called the meeting. It wasn't in my office or anything. So yeah, I don't know why the decision was made to not allow media in. If it were up to me, I certainly would have allowed the media into the meeting. I know what it's like to sit outside the other end of the door and wait for people to walk outside. And of course, everyone tries to run away from you. You know, I saw Chris. I tried to run away from Chris as quick as I could. You know, I saw Chris was busy with Senator Duenas, so I said, you know, I'm going to my car.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw that. No, Senator.
I'm kidding.
I guess last question.
You were busy with other interviews, and I did have to go, so I just left.
I get it.
But yeah.
This, I guess, last question. With like your committee and your oversight assignments, since this whole like meeting and this plan, it's kind of outside the legislative process, right? That we're kind of used to in determining budgets or whatever. So, what is the follow through that you have to do, or even the body as a whole, with the governor to kind of walk this plan through to see it to fruition? If it's all outside of the normal legislative process, like for example, what are you going to do as an individual senator to ensure that your areas of oversight get the funding that you guys laid out in your plan?
It's just going to be a matter of, really advocating for it, I guess, and, pushing for it. This is something, it is very different. I think this is the first time something like this has happened to this scale. So I know a lot of people think, why is this not something that the legislature can appropriate? And it's because it's federal funds and it's given directly to a governor. And I use the example of, anytime there's federal grants that come down, we can't appropriate any of those federal grants either. We plug them into the budget, and that helps us budget. So that's where we come in, is once we figure out exactly where the governor's spending plans are for the federal funds, then we can budget everything else accordingly based on that. So that's really where the legislature is going to be involved. And it's the same way any other federal grant works. For example, Department of Interior money for compact impact. We're not allowed to appropriate any of those funds because it's direct federal grant money given directly to the executive branch. And every governor is able to spend those compact impact funds any way they see fit. And they have in the past. I've seen governors in the past use it to buy iPads for the schools. And I wondered what do iPads have to do with compact impact when there's no toilet paper in the classroom? But that's a whole different story. So the point is, this is federal money that the legislature is just not able to appropriate, as is other federal grants. It's just never been given on this magnitude of $600 million. We've never seen something like this happen before. So yes, it's definitely very different. And I think the best way to keep tabs on it is through the budget process by getting the spending plan from the governor before we finish the budget, where the governor says, look, this is what I'm going to use these federal funds for these agencies. This agency is going to get X amount of federal dollars from ARP to do whatever, to build a building, whatever, et cetera. Then we can figure out what do we budget with the rest of the funding, the local funds.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for your 2 cents on the $553 million. Then next time, don't run away, son.
Wait, by the way, anything new on the cannabis control, the cannabis guidelines?
Yeah, the rules and regulations have been, the Cannabis Control Board completed their rules and regulations and sent them over to the Attorney General's office and to the Governor's office. Now the Attorney General has to review it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they sent their rules and regs to the AG and the Governor on 4/20 of all days. And I like to thank them for doing that. For getting it in on 4/20. So I did confirm with the AG's office that they are in receipt and they are currently reviewing the rules and regs. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. You'll have to ask the Attorney General for that. But I hope it doesn't take too long. I'm hoping it just takes, I hope it takes just a few weeks so that they can, either if there's something wrong with it, then, report it out and say, hey, there's problems with it or whatever. I just hope they get this moving as quickly as possible so we can do our part.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, guys, we're going to take a really quick break, and we're coming back with Speaker Theresa Lahi next, right here on The Link. Good morning.
Makes all KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time each Friday to talk food, taste food, and bring you all the latest and greatest in food from King's Restaurants and Ruby Tuesday Guam, old faves, new hits, and everything on the menu in between. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link. Uno Go, delivering meals from your favorite restaurants and more, including delivering sodas and adult beverages from the Bottle Shack. Visit uno-go.com or download the app today. Also follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
Listen, watch, and learn from the daily Tomorrow News updates from KUAM News. Catch them on The Link during the 8 o'clock hour, streaming online on Isla Radio, or on the KUAM News YouTube channel for your convenience. Tune in and stay informed, all while preserving our precious culture through the daily use of our native Chamorro language. Tomorrow News updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Get the the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
KUAM Communications and Denny's Guam presents Mamapreneurs, a special multi-platform series throughout the month of May showcasing mothers who are also local entrepreneurs in our community. In commemoration of Mother's Day, during weekdays in May, we'll feature daily profiles of these multitasking mamas and their businesses. Additionally, on KUAM News Primetime every Monday in May, we'll showcase a different enterprising mamapreneur. Check out our online directory of all these businesses as well on KUAM.com. And if you know a mamapreneur we should feature, send us a message on social media or email executiveproducer@KUAM.com. Mamapreneurs is brought to you by Denny's. Guam's Diner is always open.
I'm gonna cut the line free to get the loving that you need, to swim away with my heart, yeah. And girl, the ocean's way too deep to get caught by me, to swim away with my heart, yeah. 'Cause it's the first time to lose this battle.
Jason J, 936. They're turning into almost like a mini session here. Wednesday, May 12th. This is the link. Coming up, we're going to catch up with Annalyn Gagarin, whose father is sadly still missing. And just want to kind of catch up with her and put the word out there, the message out there again. 9:36. Let's go in now to the K-Wave News Zoom room where Speaker Therese Terlahi is standing by with Sabrina Salas-Mantanani, who's on home quarantine. Good morning, Speaker.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I'm sure you know the discussion this morning has been all about this meeting yesterday with the governor. I'm pretty sure you caught most of the discussion. Then we also had Senator Brown on earlier about this whole issue with the Chamorro Land Trust and Jack Hattig. So I'm not sure where you want to start.
Well, I really wanted to, I've heard some of the discussion this morning, but I thought that there were some maybe inaccuracies that I wanted to make sure I put on this forum. That first of all, this kind of implication or, implying that the legislature has not been transparent, I think is absolutely false, because I think we are the branch that put our plans in writing, that put them out to the public the same time that we gave them to the governor, that has been able and willing to go on the radio and discuss our plans in detail. And, I even jumped on a press conference that the congressman was having yesterday, where he wanted to go item by line item. And I just heard about that at the last minute. But I feel like if anyone wants to, talk about our plan, I want to hear it face to face. I want to be able to, understand what their criticism is. And I want to understand, which parts of it they agree with. And that's my intention. And I think all of my colleagues' intention in meeting with the governor. And we wanted, we did not have a plan from her, and we still do not have a plan from her. And I think that has to be very clear. So it's not that we are giving her a pass on giving us a plan. We have absolutely, asked her, how is this plan going to be transmitted to us? And she said, I was the one who asked that in the meeting, and she said it will be transmitted in the same format as the CARES Act expenditure plan was funded. And we asked, actually, to be honest with you, Chris, I was surprised at the press conference that took place after our meeting, because there were some details that came out of that press conference that we had not even heard during our meeting. And I would have gone to that press conference if I had known, because I am trying, as a Speaker of the Legislature, to be involved in this process. I want to make sure the legislature has a say in a process that they have declared, untouchable, beyond our control, and not within our realm. And I absolutely don't agree with that. So I am going to make myself available, and I'm going to meet with everybody and anyone in this administration who is willing to discuss these plans. And that's what I want, is because as we've always said, if we can't, address them directly one way, we're going to address them in the budget session, in another way. And so they're very, very relevant to our work. And I am not going to, not participate. And I've seen this, I think it's very normal for Congress and the president to have meetings. I think you've seen even, Senator Moylan, who came on earlier, we've seen him have his own meetings with the governor. I have no idea what they discuss in those meetings. I have no idea what any individual senator discusses in meetings with the governor or meetings with their constituents or meetings with other senators. All of that is part of this process, and it has to occur. I mean, and what I wanted to make sure happens is that I am being sincere that this is what we think our priorities are. We want to move forward in getting these implemented, and I wanted to hear face to face with the governor whether those are her priorities as well. And as I said, when I came out of the meeting, all we had was pretty much we agree with your priorities. This is in line with our administration's goals, but no details. And so I very clearly asked for the details, and I told you afterward, I agreed in advance to talk to you immediately after the meeting and tell you, my response to it. And my response was, we're waiting for the details and we want to see the details. And I think that's really all that, we have done. And there's nothing I think that the legislature has done that has not been transparent. Yeah. It has been, I think we've gone out of our way to try to be as transparent as possible, because as you said earlier in your program, we have made calls, and specifically me, I have made calls for transparency by this administration because of what happened in the last process. And I don't want to see a repeat of that, where we get the CARES expenditure plan pretty much after we've already, determined what the budget's going to be, and we can't. No, I am hoping for a new process, and in bringing all the senators together, I am hoping that that's a message to the governor that, we are serious and we want to see your plans, and that we are serious about getting these priorities implemented. And so, I want to commend the senators for their willingness to unite in that effort.
Madam Speaker, I mean, we did kind of throw the shot at Senator Moylan that next time he does have a meeting with the governor to stream it, because you're right, it is a little bit ironic that he was calling out this meeting for being a closed-door secret meeting when he's had closed-door secret meetings, or closed-door, whatever you want to call it, meetings with the governor in a one-on-one. You guys' plan was in writing, and I think earlier in the show we did say that there were bills that you guys passed which basically called out the administration for not being transparent, for not being accessible, which is why this meeting, and I understand it happens all the time, but anytime you got 14 senators in a room with the top 2 highest elected officials of the land, I just kind of feel like baseline, it should be open to the public. But, I don't know whose call that was, whether it was the governor's or the legislatures, but I think
it was the governor's. Right. It was not our call. Yeah. It was her invitation to us, and she sent them individually to every senator to meet with her. And so every senator had the option whether to go or not to go. And I think it's very clear. I don't think anyone had any expectation that there was any bill in front of us that was going to be acted upon. We don't do that. And the open government law is very clear and recognizes that the legislature, they act in session. That's when our vote is going to be made. That's when our deliberations are going to be made. And that's, those are absolutely going to be held on as open as we can. And we have, again, gone out of our way to make sure that we hold those as openly as possible. As Speaker, I have tried to ensure that we have as much debate as any senator wants on the session floor, and that none of that is cut off or anything. So when we move forward, when the governor, finally has a plan and puts it up front for the people, that of course, if we are going to act on that, those deliberations are going to be open. If we're going to meet with her and let her tell us, thank you for your plan, I agree with you, I'm not the one making that call. I have no objection to the media coming in. As I said, I wish I had known about the press conference afterward, because the question and answer session was more than really, we were not in a question and answer session necessarily. We were just, on, I think what Senator Ridgell said earlier, the governor acknowledged that she received our plan and that, those were consistent with her goals.
Yeah,
And we were allowed to ask a couple questions, especially me as speaker. I was allowed to speak. So I just said thank you. And I asked a couple of questions as to how her plan was going to be submitted to us. When would we see that? And, we got some vague answers, but I think you got some information in the question and answer session that actually
and that's what I want to get to, Speaker. It's like what and we talked after the meeting, and it was clear that there wasn't a lot of detail in that meeting. But the more detail I got in the press conference from asking the questions, it really seemed like a departure from what you and the minority leader were saying. You guys had come out and said, yeah, she supports the RISE Act. The governor was very muddy on, what she even intends to do about the RISE Act. I mean, she was saying, like, yeah, I support it, but government employees aren't getting paid, retirees aren't getting paid. She also brought up the whole $200 million for the new hospital when she said that she wants, $300 million. And so, yeah, I felt like there was a lot of information that came out afterwards in the press conference that, like, if you guys had had that information before the meeting, it would have probably been a totally different meeting.
Of course, that's what I'm saying, and I agree, and that I don't want to see. I don't know. There's a strategy sometimes of some people get information, some people don't. When we wrote back to the governor after she asked us for a list of priorities, one of my concerns was that we had heard from different government entities that they were being promised money by the governor, and we were not privy to those promises. And we wanted to know exactly what promises had been made. We never received a response. We did not receive a list of promises that had been made, but we hear about it once in a while in proclamation, addresses or during, some other media conferences. And so I am trying to learn about those as much as possible, but they're not written down in any format that we can access. And so we are trying with the information we have to put some parameters on this. And I think that is the benefit of our plan being upfront, being, on the table, and being something that I'm hoping the media is going to help us to, hold them accountable on, that if they said they are consistent with her goals, that they really are. And she never said to us that she's not going to implement that RISE. And in fact, she mentioned it as one of the things that, she agreed with. So any delay in that, especially after she announced that we're getting the money in about 4 days, that's the cash. And I think they were clear in your press conference that there's no impediment to them spending it after that. And so we expect them to go, to move forward. And again, I don't want to see, one senator pitted against another in this process, because then we will not be able to hold the administration accountable, for use of these funds. It's going to take all of us united on these are the priorities. Secondly, on we are going to have oversights, and thirdly, that if any bill is going to move forward, including a budget bill, that we are going to make sure that we have accounted for that money as well. It takes all of that to have influence on how that money is going to be spent, and that the procurement on that money is going to be, according to the laws of the land.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Speaker, but it just sounded like this was just a big waste of time.
Well, it was her invitation to a meeting, and I am, like I said, what her agenda is at the meeting, or what, whether she had a plan ready or not, it was not in our control.
Yeah.
And what was in our control is whether we are going to respond to a meeting with the governor. And I'm always going to respond to a request for a meeting with the governor, because I believe that is, when I say we want to collaborate, I want to collaborate. I want to know what her issues are with our plan. I want to know, if she has a total other way of how she's going to deal with this money, and I want to know how transparent they're going to be. Absolutely. So
yeah,
it's not a waste of time if I can find out any information. Yes.
Right.
I guess what Bree means is that it sounds like, I mean, I don't want to say dupe,
No,
Madam
that's what I
Speaker.
meant.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I
but
meant.
it
just
sounds
seemed
like she went
I
in.
didn't- Why would you go there just to say, yeah, this is great, thanks? It kind of aligns with my plan.
Right.
I would have been like, so what is your plan? You know?
We did say that,
Yeah.
Sabrina. So when are we going to get your plan, and how will it be, transmitted to us? Because it was obviously not being transmitted during that meeting. So yes, of course. You
Was
know?
anybody taking pictures or video during this
I saw
meeting?
one person with a camera. She had allowed one staff each, I think. I'm not sure because it was not me. All I know is that one of my staff was able to come with me. And but I only saw one person taking pictures. I don't recognize where that person works. If he works for the governor, works for but there was no like posing for pictures or anything like that. And as far as I know, not with me anyways, but I went straight out of the meeting and to talk to the media because I had made a commitment to
Thank you for that speaker. And just going back to like the duped thing, it's like, so you guys had this meeting with the governor and we had you on going into it. You're right. You'd always make yourself available. So we had you on and you said that you felt like it was genuine. And then I interviewed you after the meeting and it was very positive. I mean, both you and the minority leader were very optimistic. But when we got in with the governor, it really started to seem like towards the end of the interview, she was right back at that. Well, yeah, that's their plans, but it's my call at the end of the day. Right. And it was like,
she's always made that clear.
Yeah.
And I said, I am trying in every way possible to be creative about how we are going to work around that, that insistence that, it's her call. And I think, we are going to do our best to do that. And I think that's what we are doing. That's why we are all coming in together for a meeting, because we are showing her that we all are interested in this. We are willing to do, whatever hoops she wants us to jump through. I'm going to do that because I want to know the information and I want to be able to apply that information to the public, right? And I think that's how we are going to succeed, is taking whatever information we can learn and transforming that into, is this really going to be aid to the public? Is this really going to happen? And like you said, if we find out later that she's not going to implement the rise and all of that, we have a million questions, and we have a million questions, really. I'm sure every senator has questions about that now. But, we want to fund other things, but she's not saying where in our plan then was she cut in order to fund these other things. For example, the airport, or to put the 100 million more towards the hospital. Where is she going to cut 100 million from the priorities that we've laid out? I want to know all the answers to those questions. That's reasonable, but that was just not, like I said, that was not our meeting. That was a meeting called by her, and I am trying to do what I think a speaker is supposed to do, and that is if the governor calls for a meeting, I'm going to meet with her. I'm going to hear where she's coming from as much as possible. I'm going to ask questions, and I'm waiting for her plan, and I'm waiting for those details, and I expect that to be transmitted to all members of the legislature. I want that to be open. I do not agree that those things are going to be dealt with in some back room between any persons. And so that's my goal. And I am looking to my colleagues to help us to this time have a bigger influence, with the help of the public, with the help of the media, on how these plans are going to be spent. And I want to say, now that we have guidelines, and I'm grateful that the congressman went through and pretty much matched up our plan with the guidelines. There are very few things that we are not allowed to do under our plan. And there are things that she's talking about doing that, may be allowable, but they're not on our plan. And I heard this during your press conference, Chris. So I think, we have a lot of work to do. Yeah. But again, I'm not going to throw out collaboration. I think it's really a goal. And I'm telling you, if someone's not sincere in collaborating, then, we are going to have a contentious budget like we did last year.
Right. Yeah.
And I just don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's in the best interest of the public here. Now Guam has all this money that we can actually take care of things. We should be, clamoring on top of each other to see how fast it can get done, as opposed to, let's make obstacles, or let's divert it to other places, or take care of anything else. And that's what I'm hoping for my colleagues to stick together with me on this because it's the only way. If she sees that she can divide us or anyone can divide us, then that will not work. It will be again just one person versus an entire.
It's just frustrating, Madam Speaker, to come out and to hear you and the minority leader say, "Yep, RISAC, done, hospital done," and then to go to the governor and she's like, "RISAC, no, I don't." You know what I mean? Because it means that we got double the work now because now we got to go and ask you like, "Hey, she's really iffy on the RISE Act," and then you know what I mean. So when you talk about,
what I'm telling you is, I'm trying to give you information that I think media can use. Yeah. That is, if the cash is coming in 4 days, and she agrees with the RISE Act, and she wants to add more, then she can at least do the minimum, right? And that we should be finding out in 4 days or 5 days whether that is going to be paid or not, and why not, if she agrees, right? What is the delay in paying out the RISE Act payments? If she wants to add more people, she's going to have to find a mechanism to do that. We have a law in place that says this is how it's going to be done. If she has another way to give more people, that's up to her. But there should not be any delay because the money's in, the law is there. She said she agrees. And so for me, that's really the takeaway point is that we've got an actionable item on the table and we are looking for the action on it. And I'm going to, of course, be diligent about that.
All right, let's get into this Chamorro Land Trust Commission stuff before we let you go, because we got a few minutes left. So Senator Joanne Brown, I'm sure you heard, also the governor's comment during the press conference. Oversight hearing for Chamorro Land Trust Commission and the issues surrounding the land agent's accusations against the former administrator.
Yes.
Are we going to have one, or just what's your take, your response to Senator Brown's comments?
Yes, well, of course, I agree with Senator Brown that we need to know the answers to all those questions. You know that, Chris, that I am also trying to get those answers. And I have been told by the chairman that they are sending letters to me today. And so I'm going to give, I'm expecting those. So I expect responses to the question as to whether, that action that the land agent complained of had happened in any other cases. That's one, right? And whether the commission, how will they deal with that, right? Or how did they deal with those other cases? And second of all, they have already said that they've put in a process so that cannot happen going forward, or that would not happen. And they've backed up this land agent. I want to really commend them for that. And it looks like they effectively removed the director. And I want to commend them for that if that's what they saw fit, that is what happened. And so, we're in a flux period right now, and I'm not opposed to any oversight, but we are in a flux. They lost their director and so I am waiting for their responses in writing, and I will definitely determine as, what is going to be included in this oversight with the CLTC. Also, I have forwarded the allegations that Senator Brown has made as to forgery to, I haven't sent that letter yet, but it is prepared and going to General, forwarding the allegations to him. It's this is a criminal allegation that they are
Madam
making.
Speaker.
I want him to investigate it and take appropriate action. And that's what I think should happen with the forgery. And as to, of course, how they're treating cases going forward is absolutely. And we've had many oversights of Chamorro Land Trust over the past few years. I do not hesitate to have those, and I will determine what is necessary after I receive these letters from them.
Right. Madam Speaker, could you just, because you cut off there, you're going to forward the allegations of forgery levied against Jack Hattick to who?
To the Attorney General. Because they're criminal allegations, yes. So I want him to make a determination, and I think it's appropriate that he does, and that he take appropriate action if he finds that is indeed forgery.
Okay. Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, for jumping on. Really crunch for time right now, but appreciate it.
No, thanks, you too.
Speaker. Of course.
For continued discussion on these plans. I think the more that the media discusses it, the more the senators are willing to come on and discuss it, the better. And I think that's a good thing. So thank you again.
Thank you,
Take
Madam
care.
Speaker.
Thanks. Good luck.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go over to Joe Sir right now. The Jack Cam, as Jack in the Box has dropped us some great breakfast items that are part of this new launch that they're doing. I'm going to go ahead and give you some of the deets, the documents.
For breakfast.
Go ahead, Jay.
Popcorn for breakfast, you guys, but popcorn chicken.
Yep, that's
okay.
right.
And I must say, I have only fallen in love 3 times in my life. The popcorn chicken was the third one.
There you go, ladies.
That's the truth, and you know. And we've also got the a box of mini. Okay, so Joe Sir's zooming in now on the cheddar biscuits.
Cheddar biscuits. These are great. Think of something great. Now think of how much greater that thing would be if it had cheddar baked inside of it. That's exactly why there's cheddar cheese bacon in the biscuits of Jack's cheddar breakfast biscuit sandwiches.
He's also zooming in on the mini munchies, which is kind of like a grab bag or grab box, if you will. We have Jack in the Box's famous curly fries.
Right
we got
on.
some traditional straight potato fries and the cheddar poppers. I know you're a big fan of cheddar poppers,
Yep.
Chris.
These are great. I'm so excited to break bread. Guys, just a small token of my appreciation for the hard work that you've done this week.
And they also gave us 5 of their famous buttermilk house ranch sauce.
Wow.
That goes good on chicken, on fries, on poppers, on it even goes good on meat.
Hey, guys, just real quick, you're not doing that weight loss challenge with KUAM, right?
I'm not.
Okay. Joe, sir, are you doing the weight loss challenge?
Oh,
Okay.
In a brisk breeze, Joe Sir would blow away. He's got nothing to worry about.
Bree, are you doing that weight loss challenge thing?
Yes.
Ah, man, so I don't know if you should have any of this Jack in the Box.
I'm just like sitting here like salivating.
I know. It smells amazing. So, yeah, check out Jack in the Box. They're doing tater tots. They're doing popcorn chicken. They're doing cheddar biscuits. Hey, KUAM TV. Man, it's been a great show. We tried to jam as much information into this 4 hours of multimedia broadcast as we were able to. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have some spillover tomorrow on the link. My name is Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
I'm Jason. Have a good day, guys.
Joe Sir with the Jack in the Box. KUAM TV. Thanks so much for watching us. Adios.